Okay, now recording. Anders, welcome to my show, to my channel.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
The impact you had on my life, just to describe it. The first, the real professional first show I ever saw was together with Yngwie Malmsteen in Karlskoga. You opened up with Rising Force, and even when I think, looking back to, I think I was 13 or something back, and even today I can't imagine a better live performance to start your whole like fan career. You know, like the first time you see a live show and you see this fantastic lineup. I mean, it's like unreal to me. And even if you ask any musician that I've been worked with in my little career, if you ask them, everybody would say the same. It's something that I noticed over the years. They say that you have some special kind of Nordic tone in your compositions, and that comes from your family, I would say. So it's everything from compositions to the artistic things. You as a drummer, and this guy even worked as some kind of drum tech for you at one gig, which probably the worst drum tech ever. But I mean it was never a good time to say this, because we met so many times, we played together and been the private parties and everything. So I thought this was a perfect time to say how much you have affected my musical career.
Oh, thank you very much. I feel almost bashful now, and I don't know. It's always difficult when somebody gives this much cred and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, with Yngwie's band, of course, we had a really good lineup, and I guess the guys were handpicked in a way, by him. And him, of course, was the best guitar player there ever was, probably. Yeah. So, and me and my brother, we had a combination of, we grew up together, and then we were like rehearsing together. So we had the same timing, and by chance or by what do you call it? The stuff you listen to as a kid when you grow up. Yngwie had the same sort of influences, and so we had the same micro timing, I think. So it really gelled together, and everybody had the same sort of aggressiveness in a way. So nobody was like it was sort of like a really good combination.
Yeah.
I sometimes, if you watch hockey, you've seen these the Big Red Machine. The first lineup they had. Was unbeatable. Sometimes I feel I was the goaltender in a lineup like that.
Yeah.
Somehow, I was just happy to be in the back there with tremendous musicians like these guys.
And I saw the tour the year after as well, and it was good, but it was not that kind of magic thing that you maybe just experience once in a lifetime or something.
Maybe I mean the guys that came after us, there was nothing wrong with them, but. I have the feeling that Yngwie, after we left, he decided, now I'm going to be the dictator. I'm going to tell them exactly what to play. I'm going to do this. They're going to get paid. They're going to do what I tell them. And maybe they were kind of scared of him, sort of, and had too much respect. It feels like they were hesitant and a little bit nervous and nice guys. They were really nice guys. But when we played with them, we had more like a dynamic vibe where everybody was... we dared to tell each other, hey, this sounds like crap, and this, whatever, nothing sounded like crap, but we had like a situation where people spoke to each other, and we were more like a band for some, I think. I know Yngwie nowadays says he never had a band, but back then we were like a band.
Yeah.
I've been in many bands, and that was more like a band than many other bands I've been with.
Yeah, okay, cool. I mean, if I should describe you for the viewers now, I would say that you are this legendary drummer. You played with Yngwie, you played in Hammerfall, I would say that is a part of the Swedish music history now, the Hearts on Fire that you were part of recording. And now you play in what to me is one of my top 5 favorite bands of all time, which is Manowar, which is just like unreal to me since we knew each other for so long.
It's unreal to me too, in a way. But then again, the music industry is not that big, and they at festivals they probably, we all know each other, like not by maybe talking, but they've seen Hammerfall, they like Hammerfall, and they've seen me and stuff. And one thing leads to another always in these situations and stuff.
Yeah. Do you remember, because since you have been so big part of my musical influence, do you actually remember that this must be, I don't know, could it be 98 or 99? I think I don't know if you had started to play in Hammerfall at that time, but you sent me this package with all your discography. Do you remember this? With all your CDs, and I listened to this, I don't know, 100 times each CD or something. I think I got like 15 CDs. It was everything from your solo career to jazz to fusion to everything. And on top of that, you played all the albums I had with Malmsteen and everything. So.
I remember when I met you, it was through Joachim Kans in Hammerfall, and it was 99.
Okay.
I mean, you guys had some sort of a project then, and
yeah, the musical, yeah.
And I remember you seemed like a very intelligent guy that knew what you were talking about, so I thought it was worthwhile sending you the CDs. I mean, if you were just shouting, then what's the point in sending 15 CDs? But you seemed like to be analytic and musical, so why not?
Yeah, it's I still listen to those albums. It's really cool. And how, since I described your career, you have. If I should name everything you play, would take the whole episode. But how would you? If now I described you, how would you describe yourself?
I would describe myself as a musician. I mean, I'm not like a heavy metal guy. I could probably play any style, more or less. I mean, I'm not really good at anything. I'm not really bad at anything either. So I could play with, in pop bands or funk and stuff like that. So I don't know if that was a goal, but I was always interested in music, and so it was like it just happened that way. I got in different situations. I'm of course most known as a heavy metal drummer, but I played with Ove Törnqvist before I played with Hammerfall, so it was completely different.
Cool.
I played in dance bands too and stuff. I mean, so it's like, but it's funny though. If you play in a dance band, you learn something. Before I played with this dance band, I played after Hammerfall a few years in Milles. Then I learned how to play four on the floor really well. Before that, it was flamming, to flop, more, but really learned it with them, so it's always good to play in different situations. If you're young and if you're a musician, you should not stick to one style, I think, because you can always learn and influence yourself into different styles. But then again, when I played with the Hammerfall, for example, they were like, oh no, that fusion shit, they told me. And if I play with the like jazz bands, they say like, don't play so hard and so metally kind of. So there's always complaints, and you always, when you bring too much of the other style into the things, people get confused. Yeah. But then again, it can be nice, I think.
When we're talking drums, just interesting to know, if you go to your rehearsal room or your studio or whatever you have now, and you know that you're going to practice drums, what do you practice? I mean, you have done pretty much everything. What do you sit down and play? Just for fun, or do you play some? Do you have some like scheduled technique, or how, or is it just that you only play when you have some project to do, or how does it work with your experience and all the things you've done until today?
I mean, it's like for a long time, I just played to keep up with the physical part of the whole thing. I mean, the sort of what do you call it, cardio. I mean, you as a drummer yourself, you know how it can be pretty tiring to play double bass through a whole song or something. So I just played to keep up with the physical, with the muscular part of the whole thing. But lately in this Corona thing, I worked more on things I'm bad at, and when I play with Tungsten, the band I have with my sons and Mike Anderson, the singer, I realized these guys are young. My sons, of course, since they're my sons, they're younger. So they have these complicated rhythms on the bass drums that I had a hard time with. I realized when we recorded, fuck, I suffer and struggle with this. So lately I've been playing stuff like that only, and either I play songs that we are supposed to record or play live, or I turn on like Spotify playlist with the metal that's like complicated and progressive, and listen and stuff, and maybe try to copy some of that stuff. In general, I think I improved a lot by playing with them. So I've never been better than I am right now.
Yeah, cool.
Which is nice. But before, I mean, it was more or less fusion or power metal. But now I think I can handle the more complex, fast stuff too.
You're also into martial art, right?
Yeah, I right now it's not been so much. The corona and the risk of getting injured. When I started with Manowar, I thought to myself, I don't want to let them down, so I quit the karate and stuff, because there's a huge risk of getting your fingers like not snapped off, maybe, but you know, really hurt, and and ribs broken. I mean, I had ribs broken, and I mean, it happens all the time, kind of. It's not so strange. You get a kick in your ribs and they break or crack. It's a and it hurts like crazy. You can't sleep for 6 weeks, and you can't. If a sneeze comes on, you go, oh no, you know it's gonna hurt. So you like, try to hold the broken rib, and it's, oh, it feels like somebody's stabbing you. But it's nothing dangerous. It just hurts. But it's hard to play then.
So what? I mean, you always been in good shape, but how? I mean, we're not young anymore, and you're even older than me now. So how do you stay in shape? Because you're still in fucking good shape, I guess.
Likewise, so are you. But in my case, I try not to. I'm like 194 centimeters, so I try to stay. I look at the scales, and I look. If I go over 100 kilos, I think, oh no, I have to break it a little bit. So then I eat a little bit less. So I keep the weight as a measuring point or whatever, and also I eat smaller portions. You know, if you put in more calories, of course you gain weight. But in general, I think it's just because I've been active and playing drums. I never really been fat. I mean, but I've been over 100 kilos, and I think it's too much for me personally. And I sometimes eat these. You know, you buy these portions like ready cooked meals. If you get one of those, you know, there is nothing else. There's nothing more. That's what I do, you know, and then the weight just goes down like crazy.
Yeah, but you don't do you run, for example, or do you take long walks or whatever just to? No? So you get to training because you still play a lot of drums, I guess.
I think so. Yeah, I try to walk and stuff, but it's unbelievably boring. And the karate and the kickboxing and stuff was before, but I think I gained weight there because I also used to do bodybuilding for a while, just because I had a friend that was really into it. So he always says, Anders, he was from America, Anders, come on, you know, let's go, you know, and I, okay. And then I gained weight. I don't do that anymore, which is a bad kind of, but I guess just eat less. That's all there is to it. And don't drink and smoke.
Oh, you don't drink at all?
Yeah, but I never, you know.
Rarely?
Yeah, rarely. I mean, I drink a few beers here and there, and a glass of wine, like, you know, like most people. But I don't get drunk. I mean, when with kids, like you said, with the Bergslagshallen in Karlskoga and all that, during that time we drank more because Yngwie, he drank like a fish. He drank a lot, so it sort of affected everybody. It sort of, but me and Jens, the keyboard player that was also in the band, him and I were considered being boring guys that didn't drink so often, and we didn't do drugs, and we were kind of, they were like, oh, you're not gonna drink again, you know. Even though we probably drank once or twice a week back then still, and got drunk kind of. So, and also when you get drunk, you know how you behave like an idiot and do stupid things. I've never been aggressive or a bad drunk, but then again, I've been too much, kind of like most people. There's nothing. positive about it, I think. Especially, you know, when people play live, you've seen this many times too. It's like, I have a beer before the gig, a couple of beers, you know. I always think to myself, why should we do this? It's hard enough as it is. It's hard to play live. I mean, it's hard to get all those cues right and being really tight when like the sound might be weird, and then people get drunk too. It's like, I hate that.
I can actually honestly say that I have never ever had any kind of alcohol before a gig. Never ever.
Oh, that's very good. I had it,
after I've been a lot of times, but never ever before a gig. No.
That's very, very smart.
It wasn't for me. My case, it wasn't smart. It was just I felt in the muscle the day after. I got slow and tired, so it was impossible for me.
No, I mean, if I've tried in rehearsal space when we were like teenagers, we used to drink sometimes just to see how it feels. I mean, it's really fun, but you get tired right away. And as a drummer, when your pulse goes up, it seems like the alcohol goes through the brain faster. You get drunk faster somehow. It was weird. And also you get, I mean, like you say, the muscles, you might even get a cramp, or I mean, it's bad as hell. And the coordination goes down the toilet. And I was drunk at one gig also in my whole life. I think it was with Yngwie Malmsteen, and we were like recording a live album, so retarded, you know. This is dumb. When you're like 20, I was 22. I just, you know, but because of the bad influence, Yngwie was drinking.
You were only 22 then. My God. Yeah.
Yeah, I was the oldest one. Jeff Scott Soto was like 18 or 19 or something. It's kind of weird.
Still.
Children.
Do you have? I mean, with your incredible career, do you have like a special, like when you felt that artistically that you peaked, or something that you're especially proud of? And the next question after that is, did you ever had any time in your career when you felt like, okay, this is it, I'm gonna quit and I'm gonna be a plumber now? I had it.
A couple of times. The first question, the peaking question, when my brother did a fusion CD called Fission, and I think I rehearsed 4 months, you know, to be able to play all that weird stuff and play it well. And so that was for a while. That was, I mean, if you listen to it back to now, if you listen to it now, you can hear. I mean, it's kind of, but still, it was like I was really proud of that. Still am. And nowadays, the records I did with the Tungsten, we sort of put effort in and try to make them sound good and tight. So I'm proud of them too. And of course, playing on a Manowar record is like it's a huge thing. And being part of Hammerfall, I mean, all this, and Yngwie, of course, everybody brings Yngwie back. That was a huge thing when I was a kid. Hey, not a kid, when I just started out. And start thinking about being a plumber. When I was right before Yngwie's band, I thought about it. Because my brother went there, and a long story short, you know, he played on the first Yngwie album. I didn't. And I thought to myself, this sucks. I mean, so I thought I was going to go to college then, and not maybe become a plumber, but become a civil engineer. Like I had what do you call it? Applied to go to technical physics. I don't know if you have that in the rest of the world, but and I was accepted. I guess I was kind of really worried, you know, to have to do that, because that seemed like very boring and very hard. I don't know if I would have made it. Actually, it's just for smart people, really. But
you seem to have a genuine interest in this kind of stuff, because you always put up stuff, technical stuff with you.
When I put up stuff. When I do put up stuff like that, I think it's because you get different feedback, and other people that know more about the stuff I put up answer, and I learn, and oh yeah, you know. And also sometimes, of course, I'm proud. Oh, I could switch the transmission on a car. Ooh, I'm so good. You know, maybe it's you know, the first time you do something, it's kind of wow. You know, I mean, putting out, I played on another record. It's like it's not so strange, maybe, because I've done it so many times. But plumber, yeah. After leaving Yngwie's band, I thought about being a plumber again. You know, because I was disillusionized, or whatever you call it, delusionized, desillusionerad. And I thought, all this rock star scene in Los Angeles wasn't at all like everybody thinks it is. It's you're just a product people want to, take advantage of, kind of seemed to me. So then I thought maybe I should go back to school. But then I came back to Sweden and started our record company and did that for a while and play fusion with Jonas Hellborg.
But you managed to live your whole life on music. You never had a normal day job before, no?
Not really, a few days here and there.
Uh-huh.
I had day jobs, but I never really had to somehow. It was like, but it was tough, especially in Los Angeles after leaving Yngwie's band. It was tough. I remember when I was with Blue Murder, I was with them for like 7 months or something. And then, eating like cheap macaronis and, stealing ketchup from fast food places, that sort of thing.
Oh.
We did. But that's everybody did that. It's like seems glamorous, the LA scene, but most people that are there, have to do other jobs. I did too. We worked as delivery boys. I worked with my car, driving packages around, and I worked as soldering cables too. Nice, electrical cables, soldering them together. And what else did I do? That sort of shit. Scraping off window putty shit from windows. That was probably the worst job I ever had. Like when 1,000 windows were done, 1,000 more windows came. This was and I got fired because I broke a couple of windows because I was like doing it too hard in the crack. So they said, you cost us more than it's worth. We had to let you go. And when I drove away from there, I thought, oh, whew, nice.
A couple of days ago, I was in this local pub, and there was like a quite famous Swedish artist coming to the place, and you could see it was so interesting to watch the. You could see how like people change, and they gather around this person, and I mean, do you ever get tired of this? Because you're on a completely different level than this person. Do you get tired of not being able to be like? I guess it's different to be a metal musician, okay, but still for the I mean, yeah, I've seen it so many times around you, like. Do you ever feel like, oh my God, not again?
In my case, being a drummer, I don't get so much of that. They always seek out the singer, it seems. Normally when I'm at places, it doesn't happen so much. But if I would go to rock bar, people would start, of course. But that would be my own fault if I went to a place like that. Sometimes I remember with Hammerfall, when Hammerfall was big in Sweden, when we went to places, all the people knew who we were. Like not only metal people, like normal Swedish people knew too.
Yeah, I remember when you signed in the record store, for example. I mean, it could be any Swedish athlete or whatever. That is how big you were back then, I guess.
Yeah, it was kind of funny or fun, but. The one they wanted to talk to was, of course, Joachim and maybe Oscar a little bit, but mostly Joachim, the singer. And I remember if somebody was talking to me and being annoying, sometimes they drunk and they talk in your ear and it's loud and you feel these little squirts of spit coming. And I think, oh, fuck, it's disgusting. You try to keep them. What I usually did was...
It's good that you're tall, at least.
Yeah, I know, but they pull your arm and pull you down, so they when they're drunk, so they can talk to you, and they touch you, and it's like they mean well, but it's annoying. I remember I backed up slowly, and they kept coming, and I looked where Joachim was, and I sort of like backed into Joachim and brushed past him. So suddenly they were like seeing Joachim, and I was behind Joachim. And then, of course, they forgot about me right away. They just started bothering him instead. So we used to call it kleta av oss på Joachim. to like I don't know, smear ourselves off to him. The singer gets the worst of this, of course, a lot. I know when we toured with big bands like AC/DC, of course, like a huge band, everybody wanted to talk to the singer or Angus. The other guys, they were just, like normal guys.
Mhm.
And people didn't sometimes realize it was Angus. I remember one time me and Angus went to to a music shop he wanted to try a guitar, and they didn't realize who he was. I thought to myself, this is unbelievable. And they realized who I was for some reason. Maybe because I had done a clinic there or something, like half a year before in that state, But
Yeah.
they just didn't see him because he's so small, and And then
that's-
it's kind of weird. But when they realized, it's like you say, the change, unbelievable. What a change, Angus, people start behaving like embarrassing almost how they behave. That's what you mean when you went to that bar, probably.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see how much people change in their behavior like this instant.
Exactly.
Okay, they maybe have a
make
couple of
fools out of
beers, but still they are still responsible for.
It's funny, and then they come up to you and they want to. It's all positive. They are fans and they like it and they enjoy the music. They always want to say something, and they think of something to say, and it's always like, "Thank you for the music," or or they try to be. This I think is a little bit worse, but I realize what they do. It doesn't matter, but they try to insult you just as a joke, you didn't sound that good on the last Hammerfall record, did you? Whatever. I haven't actually heard this, but you know what I mean. It's sort of like an insult, and it's like, I got the other day, oh, you this and that sounds like that, and this, and I just said, yeah, you're right. We played a boat once with Per Hulkov, from Rautir, and after the gig, a guy came up to me, and he was drunk, and he was like, fuck, it sounded like shit. What the fuck was this crap? And your brother, he sounds like crap. Stratovarius is crap. Rainbow is the worst I've ever heard. I said to myself, for a little while, I thought like punching him, But I thought to myself, no, I'm going to change this around. So I said to him, thank you. Thank you for telling the truth. We usually get assholes that just want to butter us up and be very nice to us. Thanks for letting us know how you actually feel. This is so refreshing. Can I buy you a beer? He was like, oh, confused. And I got him a beer, and then he just stood there like an asshole. And then the next morning we saw him, and I had told Per Hulkov about this story, and he sort of went into the same mode. He said, "Hello, how are you doing?" And in his very brutal Nordic tone of voice. So what do you do for your living? And he started asking him all sorts of questions about his work and stuff. And the guy was totally confused, but it turned out well. Maybe that guy really is a fan now. I don't know. Or maybe not. But another time, I mean, I don't know how much time we have.
We have as much time as you want.
Okay. Another time, a guy came up to me in Trelleborg, where I live, in a bar, and we had just been graduating with the karate club. Everybody got their belts. Everybody had a few beers. A guy came up to me. Who the fuck do you think you are, you gay bastard? I said, I'm not homosexual. You play in a fucking gay band with gay bastards. You mean Hammerfall? Yes, they're fucking awful gay bastards. I'm gonna punch you. So, wait a second. First, you think I'm not homosexual, and then you think the band is homosexual. Do you mean the tones or the beats or the lyrics, or what do you mean? Everything. You're gay. And I said to him, you see, do you know who we are? Yeah, I know who you are, you motherfucker. But look at all these other guys here. They're all black belts, and I'm almost a black belt, not really, but I am. And if you want to fight, I advise against it. Because you're not going to have any teeth left, and it's bad for us too, or for me. I don't want to punch your teeth in. I really don't want to, because you're drunk and I think what should do is like, I get you a beer instead. I did the same thing again. And you can sit there and just think about if you really want to fight, or if you're really angry, or what the problem is. And he sat there with his beer, and then he started crying. So nice. My daddy was never this nice. You know, like,
Really?
I realized, oh, he has father issues, you know. So then it turned out to go well too. You know, if you punch somebody, you know, it's terrible, because you might really hurt them, and in worst case scenario, you kill them. You know, then what? You know, and if you hurt them so they one eye gets taken out or something, very bad. So it's better to, you know, stay away from that shit. You know.
I mean, since we've been to the same place so many times and in private parties and play the same places, and I, you know, as I said before, with some kind of drum tech or whatever, you know, but I never, and I can honestly say, I never ever heard you say anything bad about another person. This is this is really, really rare among musicians.
Oh,
and,
good.
So my question is, how did you ever have like an outburst? Because I can imagine even the most nicest, calmest person, but if you are famous like you are and you have all these assholes all the time, did you ever flip like like, I don't know, throwing out in the sea or the river or whatever, you know, something that now I had enough. No,
I mean, when I was with Silver Mountain, when I was a teenager, I saw the bad side of fighting, because then we were like doing that, not a lot, but we did it, and we didn't do it. At least I didn't do it because I was angry. I thought it was just exciting, you know, like something's happening, a bar fight. The same with Yngwie. Yngwie started a lot of fights, and we sort of helped him, and we went into them without being angry. But so in my case, that didn't really answer the question, I guess. I of course I've had tantrums and stuff, but it was when I was younger, and but no, not really. I guess I have a long fuse, you know, and but still there's an anger inside and stuff, of course, like with most musicians. But I think I realized early what can happen if you punch somebody and they get injured. You know, you have to stay away from that. I mean, don't have to. You should defend yourself, of course, but even defending yourself and you kill somebody, it's not good. I don't know. But with Yngwie, after a while, when he started fights, after a while we started defending the people he was trying to beat up. You know, it's kind of weird. You know, and we had a guard employed, so he wasn't supposed to protect Yngwie. He was supposed to protect people from Yngwie, so Yngwie wouldn't get all these lawsuits.
Ah, okay.
Of course, if some people didn't really attack Yngwie. I mean, he's 6'3", you know, 191 centimeters, and really, you know, like that. But so he's back now. I mean, this is a long time ago. Now he's like calm and different person, really. I've heard, you know, nobody really has contact with him anymore.
It's interesting what you say about the because I remember one time, you know, when you talked about this famous that people come and that people don't recognize you sometimes if you're like out of the band situation. Oh. I remember this one time. It happened to Bruce Dickinson in front of my eyes. Actually, he was supporting Halloween in some tour. I don't know which year, some time of the oath or something in Stockholm, and he went out after the gig. It was just me, my girlfriend, and two people more there, and he was also joking about now is like my career completely over, you know, like nobody paid attention whatsoever to him. And I think it was like 2 years after that they did the Rock in Rio, and you know, like millions of people, but it's interesting to see maybe perhaps one of the most famous singers of all time in the music scene, and he was completely alone after the gig.
No, people don't expect him there, and maybe they think that guy looks familiar somehow. I mean, I've seen Dio, of course, since my brother played with him, and nobody recognized him in bars and stuff. But as you say, when people realize, then it sort of flocks like flies. Everybody tries to get a little bit of the limelight or whatever. I don't know. I talked to Dio, man. I remember one time we were gonna meet Peter Forsberg, the Swedish hockey players, the best hockey player we ever had. And it was my friend Åke Unger and I. We were supposed to meet him, and he sat in a bar. You know, I thought to myself, you know, oh wow, you know. But when we came there, people got wind of that he was there. The whole bar was full of people, just flocking there like crazy. And outside the window where he was sitting having dinner in this bar. They were outside the window, like it was impossible to even get to him. I felt this is not fun. This must be horrible, you know. But in my case, that never happened, unless we were in Japan with English band when English band was really big over there. Then it was easy to recognize us, of course, because we don't look that much like Japanese people, and we're half a meter taller than everybody. So it's like easy to spot. And then it was like people flocked like that. It was kind of funny, even. It wasn't annoying. It was because Japanese people are very polite and respectful, but still they want to be close and you know.
Since you've been traveling all over the world and you've seen so many cultures, so many people, and you see, you know, behavior and everything, what did you learn about yourself from all this?
I learned that I'm very Swedish, you know, that it's hard to wash that out somehow. I mean, we lived in America for many years, and we seemed like the more we lived there, the more Swedish we became somehow. It was difficult. They are different, more different than we are, than one might think. You know, we are. We know the language sort of, and we know, you know, how they are from American movies, but in a way we are very different anyways. And I think we are more like Czech people or Slovakian people or something. We have more in common with them for some weird reason. Maybe it's the hockey, I don't know. Maybe it's the socialist country style sort of. I don't know what it is. But in America, but going for example to China or the Middle East, then this difference is unbelievably much bigger. We are unbelievably a lot not like Chinese people or Middle Eastern people. It's a huge difference. So I learned that I'm very Swedish, and it's nothing to do about it. It's also funny, we're speaking English here. A lot of people, when they start out, you know, I get good results. I use these mics, man. You know, I try to sound like an American. Blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like, I tried that shit too when I was like 23. And a guy came up to me, where are you from? You know, what's wrong with you? You know, are you from Canada? They realized right away I'm not an American. So now I just speak like, if a Scottish person would try to sound like an American, he would sound like there was something wrong with him.
Even the Swedish people would notice the difference. Huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so I think to myself, I just speak the way it comes out of the mouth without trying to fake it. I could fake American more than this, but it would be wrong somehow. Yeah. I mean, we are Swedish. We should sound like Swedish. I mean, Scottish people shouldn't sound like Americans, and Germans.
Actually, when you actually sound like you speak in Swedish now, right? It's the same kind of tone. Exactly. Know how you speak Swedish.
It's the same. I mean, with you too. I think that's refreshing. You know, when somebody suddenly, yeah, okay, let's start. You know, like let's start it. Fucked up right away. No, but I heard Magnus Rosen, the bass player from Hammerfall, ex-bass player, do a thing like that. That was the unbelievable Gothenburg English. It was very fun to hear. It was way worse than we are. It was cool that he didn't try to hide his Gothenburg dialect. It was sometimes it was, I mean, hard to understand. I mean, for them probably, because he said the words in Swedish even and stuff. It was really cool.
We haven't mentioned your brother and we haven't mentioned your father, which is, as I said before, also a huge impact, fantastic impact on me. Did you ever felt with your legacy? Did you ever felt any kind of pressure from this as a musician? Because the reason I ask is when I went to the music university, there was a lot of people that have famous parents, you know, like opera singer or whatever, or famous in any way. And I could see that they really suffered from this. It was not something that they liked at all, actually. How was it for you?
I didn't like it at all either. Of course, people said when we played, yeah, are they any good? You know, we played piano, both of us and stuff, and you know, yeah. And then when we started playing in basement bands in Malmö, when we were teenagers, people like from his generation, and they were like, so when you're going to start playing real music? And this didn't sound like your father, you know, that sort of shit all the time. And if we did something like a gig or record, you know, major newspapers like Expressen and stuff, they would of course talk about that all the time. And you know, we wanted to play punk or heavy metal or whatever. Not that we avoided playing his stuff, but we weren't interested really. I mean, he played that stuff, and we wanted to play what was popular or among our generation.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't like it at all. And when we came to America, nobody knew who he was. So that was really nice. You know, people were just treating us as normal Swedish musicians. But now, when we are older, have done more things, it's easier. You know, me and my brother plays this stuff sometimes where I played upright bass, and as you've seen it, it's much easier. I don't think we could have done that when we were around 20. It would have been first of all, people would have complained, you know, this sounds like shit, you know, and second, we couldn't handle it, probably, the pressure. But now it's like, since we've done all this other stuff, you know, one guy came up to me once, yeah, this didn't sound like your father at all, you know. And then I felt like punching him, really. You know, why come up and complain like that? So I told him, well, no, it didn't, because it's jazz. It's supposed to be different every time you play it. You know, when they played, you know, on the records, it was different every time. So you probably like no musician, right? I told him, and so you probably listen to this record just for svenska many times, and you sort of recognize the solos and stuff, and we didn't play the same ones. So that's probably the problem, you know. So he was like, and then I just, you know, try to. Yeah, I mean, a guy like Ove Törnqvist, he wanted to punch people. It was funny when I played with his band. He actually looked for journalists to punch and stuff. I kind of like that, though. He was 70 back then, and you know, it's still. I mean, he's an old boxer, so he you can tell in the way he looks in his eyes. There's aggression and hate. You know, and, you know, look at the picture of Ove. You realize. I like Ove, though. I mean, I usually tend to like these kind of people for some reason. End up playing in bands with people like that. It's maybe, I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because I'm so wimpy and weak myself, so they make up for my.
I don't think you're wimpy. What I really like about you as a person, if we don't talk about the, oh no, you disappeared.
So I'm back.
Yeah. If you don't talk about the music, but I would say that you're really real as a person, because so many times I've seen that you do this. I will not go into this on this episode. We could do an episode about this, but the stuff that you do behind the scenes or backstage or whatever, you do it also in private parties, and so it's not like you put on a show when you're like a public person or something. You do the same tricks with your friends and stuff like this. So that this is kind of refreshing to see that you are completely the same person on and off stage.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think most musicians. I mean, there are huge exceptions, of course, but especially the band guys like drummers, bass players. They usually don't change that much. I think singers in some cases can change. Like actors, they change a lot. As soon as the camera is on, they're a different person. It's like, who is this now? It's like unbelievable. And singers, they're sort of like not like an actor, but they are like.
But they adopt that kind of band leader. Could it be that they are the people that actually communicate with the audience?
yeah, they choose that. It's because of their personality, probably. I mean, not all singers are like this. I mean, especially Swedish singers might not be like that. But I think the bass players are the most calm, it seems to me. And then the drummers are a little bit like we. They have a lot of they have more energy and more output maybe than bass players usually have. Keyboard players, they like to press things and fiddle about with little knobs and shit. It sounds like a cliche, but it's kind of true, right?
Yeah.
And so the guitar players, they like throw their big hair mane around and like you know, like but they're not really like singers. They're a little bit worse than drummers. So, and then the singers, of course, really like the spotlight.
Yeah.
Need it. They hate when nobody sees them, sort of. But this doesn't go for everybody. So if there are singers out there getting offended now, don't be, because it's just a few ones that are like
that. Before we close up this episode,
I forgot something.
Huh?
You talked about my brother. Yeah, he had a huge impact on me too. Since when we were kids, we learned from each other. He taught me a lot because he's so talented, and actually, I remember he learned how to play Zappa songs on drums, which really annoyed me. Because then I had to learn them, so there was no other way, you know. I suffered, and there's a song called Black Page.
Yeah.
I came home from school and I heard it from the basement. What the fuck is this? You know, he played the fucking thing, and I thought to myself, this is awful, you know. So I asked him to teach me how to play it, and then you know.
But you played piano originally, right? Did he also play the drums? Did you switch like the Van Halen brothers, or?
He didn't play drums really. He's just talented. But we both started with piano when we were really young, before 10 years old and stuff like that. And then when we formed bands in the age of maybe 14, that sort of age, we got an organ from our mother. So he sort of liked that more. And I liked drums more. So I got like a bass drum and snare drum. And I played it, and every time there was a Christmas or my birthday, I got a new tom. So it was slowly but surely the kit sort of added. I thought it would be cooler to get the whole thing at once, but in a way, it wasn't supposed to be so easy, maybe, and that was maybe good.
Yeah, you only learn from mistakes, and you never learn for anything from when. Even a career, when you talk about career, you don't learn that much, I guess, when everything is working smoothly.
Exactly.
That's my view of it, at least, that you only learn when it's a struggle, kind of.
Another thing, it's like sometimes when you're young, you don't realize how good things might be, you know, when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
You think it's natural. Yeah, I'm supposed to play these hockey arenas, you know, the band complains, you know. But that's something I kind of regret sometimes, when we were like 21 and 22, and we complained a lot, you know, because we thought we got a shitty end of the deal, which we did as well. But then again,
for that time, maybe, yeah,
we were assholes, you know. But then again, we were handpicked assholes, you know, that there weren't that many musicians around, you know, that could put up with the crap we put up with and play the stuff. I'm talking about Yngwie's band now. So it's, I think, you know, back then there was a lot of negative vibes, you know, which is sad, I think.
When we talk about Yngwie, I have to ask you, because since this Odyssey album is the first album that I ever saw live in a big production, and how much of that success is you and Jens? This is, I have thought a lot about this.
It's
since he had
hard
his
to say.
car crash, you know, it is his best selling album ever, and it could also be that it come at this particular year, but it can also be that it was not only his effort, right?
Well, if you ask him, of course, it's only his effort. But he was in coma and stuff, and really out of order, sort of. So, and he had a hard time coming back. And back then, things were starting to get what do you call it? Tension started. All sorts of tension with money, with all sorts of things. English drinking, and I complained and stuff because Jens is not that kind of guy. He doesn't say so much. Marcel, the bass player, he left because he couldn't stand it. The other bass player we had, I sort of started complaining too. Singers left and right, and I was left there, and I continued to complain. And the record company, I think, was sick of it, and the management was sick of it. So, they threatened to fire me if I kept, creating vibes again. And I thought to myself, it was funny, it was fine until I started complaining, everything. But me and when Yngwie was in coma, the record company executive, Jim Lewis, he and I made a deal when we drank, and he said, okay, I'm gonna vote for, route for you. What called route? Like a cheer for you, and I'm not gonna continue complain about you. He said, if you do me a favor, what's that? Try to lead Odyssey into a more commercial way, sort of. And
so you're like a musical infiltration
guy. I mean, I had nothing to do with it.
Interesting.
Really,
I know how this, no?
And Jolin Turner was in already. He was already in, and he of course was into that. Yngwie sort of let his guard down a little bit. So he all these popular songs came in there, and I think Yngwie was weak, mentally. But I thought to myself, it was otherwise I'm gone if this is not a success. And some of the songs, the more heavy one though, I told Yngwie, I took his old cassettes. Listen to this. You could take this part and to do with this part, and you add on this part that I wrote. This, for example, the intro from Rising Force. It's not writing, just go dig it, any idiot can do that. But it was my idea actually, and the keyboard, of course, Jens.
Is this chord progression, which is legendary today, and I used it a lot of times.
That's Jens.
Yeah, but did he compose it himself, or did he steal it from some famous? Do you know if he got the idea basically from some piano suit?
I don't think so. No, he's just play something that sounds
really cool, huh?
Play something that sounds like menacing or something. I told him, and he this, yeah, that's perfect. And then they were showing with that. It sounds too much like Van Halen, he told me. But I said, let's try it, and he said, it was pretty cool. And then we recorded it like that. I mean, and Riot in the Dungeons is an old song Yngwie did too. And some of the popular songs, Joey was doing the melodies, and they were kind of cheesy, but people liked that. So, and I don't know. But when we recorded the album, Yngwie wasn't even there sometimes. It was me and Jens who recorded the basic tracks. Yngwie was sitting, like just there. Sometimes he didn't even show up. And we came back. We had gone there by ourselves and recorded maybe 4 or 5 tracks, his tracks, but still. I mean, with Rising Force, for example, I think he could have given us writing credits on. And when he didn't, then I decided to leave the band because I got so pissed off, actually.
But when you told me about this, that you told him, okay, take this part there and put it there. What when you talk about it, to me, it sounds like you were a producer at that time.
At that time, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I was a producer, but that's
but you did the job as a producer, at least.
At least with that
makes
song.
you a producer, I think.
For that song, yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, it was his riffs, except the drum thing and the keyboards in the beginning. That was Jens and I. But I thought to him, maybe I can get like 5% or 2% publishing or something. That would make it would feel good. It would put my name on the record. You don't get publishing for drums. No, I know, but no. After a while it started, I wrote that. he started that shit, and I thought it was same also a song called "I'm a Viking." It's a song called there's a part called or something, or whatever it is. So but I came up with that because there was a drum rudiment, not a rudiment, but something you train, you know. You know this, triplets and 16 note, 16 notes, 16 note triplets and ordinary 16 notes. But so he put that in the song. There's a little run. I think I thought maybe I could get 1% publishing at least. No drum parts, and Jens was ripped off from the first album a lot. Same thing. First album, there was a song called "Evil Eye." It's boring to talk about money and stuff, but I don't know why I started this. But
but it's still interesting because I think that there's two things that make people or bands break up, and this is alcohol and money.
Well, both
far more than the personal issues or whatever, like.
No, I think in this case, he wouldn't care if we got money. He that wasn't the problem. The problem was if our names would have dirtied down the Yngwie Malmsteen produced and wrote everything. That's what he was worried about. There was a psychological thing he had, a problem. On the first album, I think Jens was involved in a lot of them. And this song "Evil Eye," there was like that thing was composed with Silver Mountain in Manowar like a couple of years earlier, together with with Yngwie. Of course, Yngwie's parts. I mean, Yngwie's a huge talent, but we had small, minute little things to do with it, I think, and especially Jens.
Do you think he regretted today?
Yngwie, that he didn't do it right. I don't know if he realizes these things. He should have done it right away. He could have kept Jens and I much longer, and
to gain more albums with success. I mean,
not that we were especially good or anything, but I mean.
But the formula of the members that was something special.
Somehow, it was the micro timing thing, or Swedish. I don't know, but I got complaints from overplaying. I think they complained to me. They wanted Yngwie to be the star and stuff. And who the fuck do you think you are? You that's the shit I heard all the time. It was really annoying. I mean, they were probably right on, but it's difficult when you're 22. And but with Yngwie, I remember when we were supposed to record that Eclipse album, Jens was gone, Jordan Turner was gone, Barry Dunaway and I was there, new bass player Barry Dunaway. A bar fight occurred. He punched Barry Dunaway. He left, and I said to the manager, this one I want to have money making up for all the albums royalty that you never paid, and they were like, they couldn't believe I had demands, it's weird. And it was weird. They just thought, these guys are Swedish assholes. They should be happy to be here, sort of. Yngwie was never like that, kind of. Yngwie was always cool, but except for that, that he didn't want our names to stay on the records, because then it would sort of. He somehow thought that would make him less of a person, that he didn't write and compose and direct and whatever, conduct the whole record. Like that's what he wrote on the records. Couldn't believe it. What the fuck is this? We didn't say anything. We just thought, what the fuck is this? Why is he writing this? In the studio, when he was like, yes, what do you think? Yes, was they had a lot of collaboration, but I don't think it's like that now with Yngwie. No, it isn't at all. But when he had the bands after us, I think he just play this, play that, you play this,
But you played gigs with him later on. I saw one live at Sweden Rock, for example. Was it? Did he ever talk about that? That you would join the? Yes, he did. It was so stupid. They wanted me and Jens and Marcel and Mark Bose or Jeff Scott Soto. They were supposed to call it Yngwie 2000. Because this was year 2000,
And but we said, yeah, can we have publishing? Yes, you can have that. Can we have royalties? Yes. But then you felt they didn't like this, you know. They wanted us to just get like a little paycheck. But at that point, I was in Hammerfall then, so I thought to myself, you know, Hammerfall is much easier and nicer somehow to deal with than all these American weirdos, you know. So, and
I hope you do something in the future. It would be cool.
With the Yngwie, yeah, I think.
Is it even possible?
Of course, I mean, everything is possible. I think it's hard to say what it would take. It would take so much, though. He would have to sort out a lot of things, I think.
Yeah, but as I'm thinking, you all got older and wiser, and all the stuff that you're talking about usually solve itself with age, I think. So
I mean, but we never had arguments and fights when we were in the band, though. It was always a very nice and civil situation. These things I'm talking about, I condense all the things that annoyed me. But with Yngwie, was never a problem, really. He was like more, he's like an airhead a little bit when it comes to that sort of thing. Yeah. But now, I don't know, he's so deep inside his ways, it seems. I heard his new record now. It sounds to me like he needs somebody to bounce ideas off, I think. It's hard to do everything yourself. You need a good producer that's musical. He needs Jens, I think. That would be tremendous for him. I mean, and who plays drums, who cares? But in my case, at least I was like having ideas and dared telling him them and dared telling him, maybe we should play this and that. Yeah. I don't think it's like that now. I think and on his record now, it was a drum machine anyways. And he sings himself. And
when I listen to it from some kind of producing point of view, to me it sounds like really good demos. And I don't mean song-wise. I just mean that it sounds like something that you would show a producer, and then you're going to work with it and, you know, like shape it up, because I think it's really good ideas on it. Some part is really cool, but it's just not a finished product in my ears.
I don't know. He is, of course, very talented. There's no question. And he's very musical and everything, and intelligent guy and funny and all sorts of good things. I think also, like you say, I think he misjudges the times, you know, and the audience. He thinks that's good enough for the assholes, kind of, you know, like they don't hear, you know. I don't think he can bother getting another producer in there and somebody to tell him, no, we should do this and that. I don't think he likes that. He likes to do everything himself. I mean, but it's a mistake for him, I think. Imagine if he had like a band produced by a top-notch guy, and they spend time rehearsing, and maybe do this part there twice instead, and maybe you have another part there, and you know. Yeah, imagine if he came out with a record that sounded tremendously good. People would like go nuts, you know. Yeah, because he still play really well, and even the song ideas is really good. It's just it's so easy to hear, at least in my ears. It's so easy to hear where you can get further on with all the ideas, you know. Yeah, absolutely. I mean. I think so too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the singing technically, and pitch is right, vibrato is good, and enunciation, everything. It's just his vocal cords are like they are. I mean, he doesn't sound like a singer somehow. Not for power metal or for neoclassical. This is just my opinion. He sang pretty good back in the days when you played with him. I think he did some really cool screams and. He did some streams, but it wasn't like lead vocals. No. I mean, again, he has a good ear. I mean, great ear, and he hears the pitch and stuff. But it's just the vocal cords, you can't change those. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like he sounds, kind of deep, and I don't know. strange bass tone in his voice. I think maybe he should swallow his pride and get a singer and producer, a drummer, really good drummer, and I think also a bass player, because when he plays bass, of course, it's unbelievably cool, but it's not bass really. It's like a solo guitar on the, and it's no foundation, maybe, even though I like it, but maybe the mix would benefit from a bass player that just,
It's also something with the timing between guitars and bass. When it's the same person, it's actually too tight. I can't describe it in some other way, but it's a different, you don't get, because music is one rhythm against another rhythm, right? And when you have the same person that play bass, that play guitars, it's basically the same, but it's just panned. You have the middle of the bass and then you have the guitar. It's not going to be the same, even if the bass is great by itself, but the timing is actually the same,
Yeah, I know. I think also when you program the drum machine, sometimes it's snapped into a different beat here and there. So it was like an untight drum machine sometimes. I heard one song. I thought he didn't bother with it. I mean, he probably, fuck it, I know how he is. He hears that shit, of course, but he just doesn't care. And he, of course, can do any record he wants, and he gets a lot of shit for these records. I feel really sorry for him, because I know he doesn't read on the internet really, but it would be cooler if he did something really good. I really wish he would do what we're talking about here. It would be cool. I would do it for free. I would play on it for free, just because when we had such a good time when we were in the 80s, and he was a really good friend, so I would do it. I don't care if somebody else makes the money. I mean,
somehow, there's so many bands that like rejoin now. For example, like my favorite band, Halloween, they do this, and I think you're in the age where it's still possible to do some really cool magic. Would be really, really cool if you did it.
It has to be,
even if it's just for one album, and you decide okay, we're gonna go to a rehearsal room or whatever, and we're gonna record this, and we do, I don't know, 20 gigs or whatever, and that's fine. But still, to do something like really special, that would be really cool.
Well, we start, if we would need to go to a rehearsal room and play 8 hours a day for 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, to get all the ideas and all the micro timing back together and get the vibe, sort of.
Yeah.
And people feed from each other, and we had to probably sign. The publishing thing. I mean, if he says he was written all by him, yeah, why not? Who cares? I mean, he's still he's probably the one guitar player in the world that got the most, guitar players to buy a Fender Strat and start practicing.
Yeah.
I mean, Blackmore, is a huge legend, and Hendrix and Page and all sorts of guitar players. Van Halen, of course. Van Halen is another one.
Yeah.
He got a lot of players to start practicing. But Yngwie, probably more, because Yngwie was more extreme than Van Halen.
I remember when I had Roy C in my studio, because he just produced an album with Yngwie before. I don't remember with the name now, because it's a long time ago. But I remember Roy told me that Yngwie was like furious, because he actually edited the songs, like in the mix, and cut away some parts that he didn't, as a producer should do. And I just heard that Yngwie was furious about this, but still he did an album after that as well. So he must have some kind of respect for him. But I just know that he was furious about it.
Yeah. Sounds right. Sounds about him. Sounds like he would. He didn't. Yngwie is kind of like loud, and at least before he intimidates a lot of people by his aggressive style. But maybe Roy C just waited for him to shout, and then but this made the song better, and Yngwie probably okay. That's how it is. It's But I assume these other guys, guys he's had, a lot of them would probably be scared of him. Because he has the reputation of punching people. And
when is the last time you met him now?
Last time he played in Gothenburg, and we went there. And he had a band. I think it was Björn on bass and Patrick on drums. And
this line, okay.
I think so. It was funny though, because Yngwie was twice as loud as the whole band together. In the mix, the guitar was really twice as loud as the whole band together. So you heard them you heard some like cymbals and with bass drums, and I thought, unbelievable. And Yngwie didn't even listen to the band. They played all these stops in Far Beyond the Sun. Yngwie was like half a second ahead of the band, and I asked Patrick, the drummer, later, how do you deal with that? I don't care. I just play drums, and that's my job. And I don't say anything. I don't have an opinion of anything. I just play drums. That's what I do. That's what he told me. And I thought, yeah, okay. He probably didn't dare telling Yngwie, fucking calm down. Listen, take it easy. That's what I would tell him. And Yngwie, he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's you. They're slow. No, it's like, and then I would explain, and we would sit there and, yeah, maybe you're right. Okay. Why didn't you tell me earlier?
I listened. So the last song that gave me goosebump is it's on Facing the Animal. It's this ballad. No, I don't remember the name of it, but that is the last time that he completely blew me away. But that must be, I don't know, could it be 2000 or something like this?
Yeah, I mean, he's done good stuff, great stuff, of course. I mean, it's Yngwie Malmsteen we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, no, but he. That's why we care. That's why we kind of want it to be as good as it was one time. Yeah. I mean, even when we played with him.
And this is the reason why we talk about him now. I mean, yeah, exactly. His tone is. I mean, I'm a drummer, and still I'm like, oh my God, when I hear this.
It's funny when he plays one chord, just it has so much punch and aggression. You can tell it's Yngwie from one chord, from an ordinary 2-tone chord or 3 tones. Most other guys don't have that. There's one other guy I heard had that. It's funny. It's Kalle Grimmark. He's of course like not like Yngwie at all, but he still have aggression and a lot of tone when he. I played once with Ronny a gig, and I heard in the sound check. I thought, wow, a long time ago since I heard such aggression from a guitar. Because most guys they play the chord and it's nice and it's all fine and dandy, but it lacks some that dimension. It's like hard to describe what it is. It's like some bite in it somehow.
Do you think the technical development of guitar sound and everything, and even with drums now, that will it ever be the same?
I don't know. I heard. The song, the record, what's it called? With the Fast as a Shark, with Accept, that record, Restless and Wild.
Restless, yeah.
I have a CD player in my car, and I only have 3 or 4 records, and that's one of them. And it's funny though, the sound of the drums is not modern at all, but still it's very good sounding. I mean, the bass drums are softer, and they play really tight and well, and the guitar sounds really good. So it's sad in a way with all this process stuff when it gets too much. I think it's difficult to do something about it because everybody sounds this way now. But now when we recorded with Tungsten, the last record, I really personally tried to make the drums not sound like that somehow by just telling Niklas, the producer guy, don't put extremely much quantizing on it, and but he's like, but here you played bad, I have to do it here. Yeah, okay, if it was bad, what do you mean bad? Yeah, it was like this much early, okay, put it straight then. But it's because all the other instruments are also tight, so it sounds strange otherwise, but we try to make it more. But still, it doesn't sound like Restless and Wild at all. That's of course 40 years ago or something. They recorded that. It's funny. It still sounds like a good metal album. I don't know if you ever heard it, but
yeah, I listened to it a lot. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
funny,
even today, I guess that Metallica and Iron Maiden are still the biggest like hard rock bands, and they rarely use any kind of editing, which is kind of interesting.
maybe they say that. Maybe, you know.
I mean,
It's so
maybe
easy.
Metallica could do something stuff, but I mean, Iron Maiden still play live in the studio,
Oh yeah. It's
which makes it harder to edit afterwards. I guess you can some kind of editings, of course, but it's not like a grid to a click track or whatever.
but when you have the grid thing, I guess it makes everything so much faster and easier to get what you want. We did it. I mean, I do it all the time nowadays. But when we recorded with Yngwie, it was of course gridless.
Yeah.
And because it didn't exist.
Did you play? Did you have any kind of click track, or did you play live with Yngwie's guitar, or just from Imagine the song? How did he do it back then?
First record, Marching Out, that I played on. It was me and Marcel, and Yngwie played. We played together with Yngwie. No click track. We just played the songs once or twice, you know, and kept what was. There was no editing because it was 2-inch tapes. It's annoying to edit. You can, of course, but we didn't. And then Trilogy was the second album for me. Then we used the click track, a drum machine that we listened to. I thought that was really difficult, you know. I had done it slightly at home with my brother. He put a sequencer on, so I used to play with the sequencer just to get the timing right, sort of. But it's still, you know, it's hard when you the first time. But we didn't really like the way we thought it was stiff, sort of, with those back those days. You know, it was kind of stiff. We thought so. This Odyssey had no click. Then it was me and Jens who recorded. He played bass synthesizer, and when we recorded the tracks, Yngwie sat around and guarded us. And a few days, as I said earlier here, we went there early just to get shit done because he was hard to get to focus somehow. Then again, he was in coma a couple of months earlier, so not so strange he had a hard time.
Yeah, but you played completely out without click track on that one. It's interesting. I have to listen to it again. Maybe that's also part of the success.
Maybe, yeah. And I know it's weird. I got criticism once. You know, you always remember the when people say something negative. I mean, there was a guy, one of Oscar Droniak's friends, who said, "Why did you on that song? I don't know which song it was, Crystal Ball or something. There was a drum intro, some bullshit, and then the song comes in and it's slower. Why do you speed up in the intro?" And I thought to myself, you know, did I? So I went and listened to it and said, yeah, I did. But the thing was, they edited the drum intro. It was added on later, like just do something here. And we weren't together enough to listen if there was actually the right tempo. Yeah. I just thought this is probably the right tempo because, you know, but it was slightly faster, slightly slower, whatever it was. So it was edited on later. And another thing with that song Rising Force, in the end, there's something with the China symbol. And Yngwie, since he wasn't there when we recorded it, he didn't realize it till later. He was like, he heard it later, like a couple of days
You're talking
later.
about the outro now, right?
The album, yeah.
The outro of the song.
The outro when the drums are still there. He told me, man, I can't believe this. I let you lose, and like I don't guard you like for 4 seconds, and then you destroy the whole album. He told me. What do you mean? You play that annoying fucking China there, and we can't edit it out, you know, because it's in all the mics. And I said, and it was like too late because all the drums were torn down, and we didn't have the recording session. Oh man, I can't believe this! The fucking album is destroyed. He told me. I thought that's you know, maybe it's right. You know, I thought this feels kind of horrible. But then we forgot about it. And when we played live, I didn't play it because I remembered, he was so angry about that. And then he asked me, why the fuck, why don't you play the China like it's supposed to be? That's typical him though. Then he was really angry that I didn't play it. So, but you told me I destroyed records. The record. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. But now I'll tell you to play it, right? Okay.
Funny that you mentioned this China, because I stole that idea on a song called All One with Shadow Quest. It's completely ripped off from that.
That's good.
Yeah, but it fits perfect with the riff because it's a couple of times in a row, Something needs to happen.
When we did it, I didn't. It was something I didn't think of. It wasn't planned or anything. Just and the rest of the take was probably okay. So back then I don't know if you ever recorded it this way, but back then sometimes if there was a complete a song that was complicated and difficult to play, you sort of composed in a muted symbol in the song.
Yeah.
So you could get the first part right, and then they couldn't press record again to get the rest of the song.
The first record I ever recorded was with a band called Synergy. That was actually on tape. So I know what you mean. I know exactly where it was like two places. Yeah, I remember one song. I think it was the opening track where it was like horrible, like 16-note triplet bass drums, and it was like, yeah, I know that there was at least some part that I can like say myself.
I mean, that's yeah. Otherwise, you play a song for 9 minutes, maybe, or 12 minutes, and then you fuck up the ending. Then you had to play the whole thing again, and maybe something goes wrong in minute 4. So it's good to have those little pauses, like little points where you can. Yeah,
I wonder how many muted symbols there are in the music history that it's there for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. With Yngwie on this trilogy album, there was this drum intro we stole from Ozzy's band. It's just triplets. The producer Yngwie wanted something simple that people could remember somehow. I don't know, but it starts with a symbol. I couldn't get like that. I couldn't do it. I don't know if I'm an idiot or what it was, a psychological sort of thing. But that symbol is actually played by Yngwie, the first one. He stood in the studio and.
Okay, cool. Huh?
So, I mean, because
so you didn't add it on a separate track. He was there exactly when you
record.
Cool. I have to.
Separate tracks. We didn't have separate tracks enough. It was. No, he stood there with a cymbal. He plays drums pretty well. I mean, it's not bad. He's taken lessons and stuff, so he's way better than the average guy.
Cool. Before we close this up, it would be really interesting because since I listened so many times to all these albums when we mention now, the Yngwie and Hammerfall and all the classics you do now with Manowar. But from your point of view, if you would say one of your favorite songs from each of these 3 bands.
With Yngwie, it's probably Rising Force. Hammerfall, Heeding the Call. Even though I didn't play on it, but who cares? It was Patrick Reffling, but still it's a good song.
Yeah, it's really. I actually sang on it.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Cool. You sang like.
Yeah, just choirs.
Oh yeah. So you play more on that song than I did, but I like that song. I mean, a lot of their songs are good, but that one sticks out a little, I think. And with Manowar, I mean, I only played on one album, but on the other albums, there's a lot of good songs, of course. But from those classics, Warriors of the World, maybe. Cool. You played that with your cover band, didn't you? Or which one did you play?
When we were at the private party, that was so funny because I think we played Fighting the World, and you were standing at my symbol with a drink and like just bashing just like Yngwie did. And then you end up in Manowar just like a year after, or whatever, 2 years after.
But what part was that? Was that when Joachim had a birthday?
Yeah, up in north of.
Yeah, it was funny how things are.
Yeah.
I mean,
Really...
but yeah, I remember. Yeah, you guys sounded really good, and of course.
Yeah, I had a good teacher. Wow, and it was a fantastic interview. So much insights that I had no clue about before. It was really.
No, that's how it is. I mean, that's why I think it's interesting. First of all, most people are not interested in listening to this, but I mean, you have to be an Yngwie fan or whatever. I mean, I remember another thing. There's on this marching out. Everything was more weird back then. Yeah, they got this synth in called Emulator 2, or I think, and Jens was supposed to. We thought do an intro for one of the songs. I think it was Soldier About Fate or something. And there was some bombs he had on the keyboards, and he played me and Yngwie were drinking some beers, and we went pressing the thing, bomb sometimes. Like he was really annoyed, yes. But it was like the tape was running, and nobody cared. It was how it was back then. So those bombs, shit, it's me and Yngwie and fucking with Jens kind of. It's kind of stupid, but you know. And also on that record, there's 2 intros before some songs, something, and when it was supposed to be mixed, Yngwie wasn't there, so I went in there, and I knew there was some drums in there, so I went there and I mixed it. I mean, from the settings that they already had, so I mixed with so I put the toms up, wow, every time they can, you know, like. But if you ever listen to that, you would hear that the toms are super loud.
But maybe this is this kind of spur of the moment stuff that it's like editing away, that it's killed in today's music business, because you can recall the mix and you can
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, it's almost like live. I mean, I can't redo this interview now, for example. No. It's just, it will never be the same again, even if we start to record again or whatever,
No, it would be, we would feel we said everything already. So it was like, they'll say that. But I remember when we started out playing with Yngwie and all that, and Silver Mountain, jazz musicians that used to play with my father came up to me. I don't get it. It's like you play on 2 and 4, and they didn't understand the snare drum on 2 and 4. You know how jazz is anywhere really, just following around. And they said, I don't understand on the ride. Where's the ding, ching, 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 ching? One guy told me. So I thought to myself, well, I put in some ding, ching, ding, and on the song Deja Vu. It was impossible to play. It was impossible. The song didn't have that feeling. But I've got a lot of people asked about that. How the fuck did you come up with
that? There's a lot of drummers that had copied this groove later on.
Yeah, no, it's funny.
I guess this is one of your like drumming legacies. I think I for example, I played it myself in a song called "My Heart with Dionysus." I mean, every drummer did it sometime in their career. Some influence of this one.
How that comes up from somebody telling you, why don't you play ding ching ding ching ding more, and then maybe it was a spur of a moment thing too, when we recorded in that album. Maybe I just thought of that, and it's not jazzy at all, but it's like a little bit odd, maybe, or different.
It's completely, what would you say, innovative.
No, thank you.
Yeah, because nobody did it before.
Really, I never really thought about it. People have talked about it a lot, though. Yeah. And it was weird, when we did. It's like normal when you do shit like that. At the time, you don't realize if it's going to have an impact or anything. It's just something you do right then. Mm-hmm. And I mean, nobody thinks about it then, and then the people start. Oh, that was cool.
And also the intro of Rising Force, which I probably spent 100 times of my life copying and doing this. It's really cool.
It's cool. I mean, if other people play that, I've seen cover bands and stuff. there's a vibe with Jens and Yngwie and the whole band. I don't know, it's hard to copy, and it's just the way it's like microsecond here and there, and the aggressiveness of the tone. It's like a ominous feeling. It's not like most bands would just play bah, bah, whatever. You know how they sort of sing those chords, but you know what I mean. Just very so like he's like. It's like a weird vibe that it's hard to create. Same thing when we started the first album with Yngwie, that See the Light Tonight. It was Jens and Yngwie who did that intro. Jens went bang on the piano, and they had turned the tape around. They had turned it backside, you know. And Yngwie went on the guitar, making noises on the low string, I think it was. And that's also a cool thing, right?
Yeah.
I thought these days you don't hear that now, and people now also music of today. It's a lot of really technical drum machines playing, sort of.
Yeah.
I
mean, if you listen to YouTube today, I mean, even if you go, it's really interesting because I've seen like my idols, like, I mean, when we're talking about Yngwie or whatever, and Manowar and stuff like this, and you see fans that do a drum cover, and they play maybe even better than an original in a technical way, but they all miss this kind of originality, and I see that's like a red line. You see this also with guitars and everything. And I mean, even I have like, for myself, just a simple dude like myself, I have like 10 songs on YouTube where people cover my own songs. And I would say that 9 of 10 plays better than me in a technical way. It's like a fucking circus sometimes, you know. It's really cool to see. But I see the same pattern even with famous artists like you, that they sometimes they even play better than the original, but it's still not the same. I don't know what it is, but it's not the same vibe.
It's the same. If you go to karate, for example, the old school, the Japanese guys, they were something completely different than the new guys. The new guys are very athletic and gymnastically, you know, perfect. But the old guys, they went in and bam, you know, like, and it was something else. Something, and every new generation, it seems to be watered down a little bit. What when you do when you copy something, you add on maybe technical parts, but it watered down the vibe. I mean,
could it be that musicians of today, I mean, because what basically I think we're talking about now is some kind of timing, because they are technical and they play the stuff, but it's not the same feel. And I guess feel as a drummer comes from the timing. Could it be that your generation, and somehow mine as well, I guess, at least until I was 25 or whatever, people still rehearse in rehearsal room and they play with other musicians? Today they practice like thousands of hours, but maybe haven't spent 100 hours playing with other, because that will also affect your own timing when you play with a bass player or whatever. Could it have something to do with that, do you think?
Absolutely. And also nowadays there's always a click all the time, always live. Everybody has a click track, and before the click track times, I remember when you play with a bass player, a great bass player, sometimes it's perfect, everything fit perfect. Then you play with an even better bass player, and it didn't really fit somehow. Maybe because he was from South Dakota, and you know, I was from Sweden. But so it's like a different vibe, and you know, felt weird. You probably felt this thing. But now when you
sometimes it's just work with musicians. It has nothing to do with the level of musicality or whatever. It's just that person fits better to your playing somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. It's weird, you know. But for example, the guy Marcel Jacob, he fit really well, I think. He had the same time. When the English band, he was perfect too. We always talk about me and Jens, but Marcel was a big part. Unbelievably great bass player. And but now when you have a click, there's no time. You can't play with the bass player. You have to play with the kick. You can add on it slightly, when they play I'm Tight, you can be like here and there, so, but you can't diverge from the kick too much. So it sort of destroys the vibe. It's like a machine now. And that's also a problem. All these new guys, they play with the kick. They're very perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, if you put.
Yeah, I just want to say that I've seen this. It's interesting. The better producers I work with, the less of a click track dude they are, or that they actually record the songs live and put the click track on after the drums or whatever. It seems to be some kind of secret formula that the really good professional drummers, producers, they don't just completely just program a click 120 BPM through a 5-minute song. They change it slightly, and it's interesting. It seems like that is some form of key, I think, to make some magical still.
I remember, for example, this song Rising Force that we talked about so much. Somebody told me, it starts 128 BPM and stops 131 or something like that. I've gotten that from people. And it's like, oh really? Yeah. Okay, well, what can you do? It's.
Yeah, but it's the same with the famous song Painkiller with Judas Priest. The intro is actually because I just put the song into Pro Tools something because I was nerdy. I wanted just checking out his timing. But then I noticed I never ever noticed this if I didn't put it into Pro Tools. But the drum fill first before the chaka-taka, it's actually faster than, it's like 2 BPM or something.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's a cool intro, and that has triggers on it. Why it sounds so machine-like, but it's actually played. You can tell, it's some people think it's programmed and stuff, but it's not.
Yeah,
you can tell it's like, yeah, he's the perfect metal drummer, I think. But who knows how he would play with Ove Thörnqvist? But maybe can do that.
I saw a gig with him with Thin Lizzy, and it was good, but he didn't fit as well as in Judas Priest, that's for sure. Because everybody has his own timing, and
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, because they are old school kind of.
Yeah.
He's new school or sort of new old school. But when we lived in LA in Yngwie's house, him and another guy, they were in a band called Hawk, and they lived a couple of houses further down. So every time we met them in cars, we never talked to them because we were antisocial and shy and weird. But we met them. We saw these big hairs they had. One was blonde and Scott had black hair, and we waved to them and a little bit like hello, and they sort of waved back, and so we did that for a couple of years, waving to each other. But he played with Razor X and stuff. I think he was really good in Razor X too.
Yeah.
He
did some really cool. I mean, the Scarify. I mean, he also had a big influence on me actually. Because he was also pretty, not only good, but he also did his own stuff, like his own trademark stuff that is still like people copy.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, exactly. But for me, we're so probably the same age. Maybe he's older, I don't know, but around the same. But I was more into the Ian Pace and that sort of thing. When I was, maybe it's an age thing. It was bigger when I was a kid, and Ian Pace and Terry Bozzio and stuff like that.
Did you listen a lot to Dean Castronovo? Because sometimes because that was a big influence on me. And is it possible that you took some influences from him?
I think the thing is with him, somebody asked me that before too. Me and Dean are basically the same age too, and came out from different places without hearing each other. But both of us have listened to Neil Peart and Terry Bozzio a lot. So I think both.
It comes from there. Yeah.
I think we both stole shit from Neil Peart and Terry Bozzio. And I remember when I heard Dean the first time, I thought, shit, he sounds like me, but he's better. That's what I remember thinking. So I thought I better practice for a while, So because he played really well on these Marty Friedman and on this record. And it's funny, after Dean played with Marty Friedman, I was supposed to do his second solo album. And I thought to myself,
and this was after Dragon's Kiss, right?
After Dragon's Kiss, me and Marty rehearsed for his new one. And we had,
that's interesting that you, since I mentioned that you are so like, you know, like it's really cool.
It was very fusiony and very progressive, and but maybe a week or so before we were supposed to record it, we were well rehearsed and ready to go. Then he joined the Megadeth, and Dave told him he couldn't do his solo album. He wasn't allowed. I thought that was a real bummer, really annoying, because.
So everything was prepared, and you practiced?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we had practiced. We had been rehearsing and everything, and I thought myself it was going to be cool to not. I mean, go into the ring with Dean Castronovo, because I thought, I'm going to show him one thing or two, but different things. I realized that he was better than. I mean, he's a monster, but. So it was kind of cool to go there and do the second record, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good we didn't do it, but no, probably not, because it would have been really cool. Annoying, that was annoying, but that was just for drum nerds. Or for me, I was terrible that we didn't do that record, because
I can imagine, because it's also a really cool credit for you as a musician to play with that fantastic guitar player.
I remember the other month or half a year ago, I saw if it was Jeff Loomis' blog or something, he had interviewed Marty Friedman, and Marty Friedman said, he gave me a lot of credit, and I thought that was weird, because he's played with all these good drummers and he's played with Dean. How the fuck can he give me credit, But he thought I came from both worlds, the technical and the sort of groovy Deep Purple. So he thought it was best of two worlds. He thought Dean was maybe more blocks came, and then another blah, 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 whatever, But I think Dean is fuck. Have you heard him sing? I mean, that's what.
I listened to him actually last Saturday. We had a birthday. I had a birthday on Saturday evening. We had this after party until 5 o'clock in the morning, and we actually played this what is called Mother Father song, like loud as hell on the speaker, and just like, this is unreal.
It's kind of annoying.
I think he's actually better singer than he's a drummer, and he's maybe top 5 drummers in the world, and he's still a better singer.
Yeah, that's annoying. But he is. I mean, he has had a lot of problems, and I mean, even though he's a top guy, like a singer drummer, he's probably not always happy. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, a lot of people will kill their family pet to become Dean Castronovo, but I met him a few times. He's very, very cool guy, very intense, very, very forward. Have you met him too?
No, but I've watched a lot. I mean, I had all this, his instructional videos and everything, and all these vinyls. I remember on the university, for example, Dragon's Kiss and stuff. I remember I put all the drum fills on a cassette tape back then. Like just I was completely into his stuff.
No, but I don't blame you, because in Dragon's Kiss it just starts the coolest way. You can't do it much cooler.
And I think the album, it's called Go Off. I think that's one of the best drum performances ever recorded on when he plays two-handed ride and stuff like this. It's like
no click, no
I think he's
second takes.
Yeah, and I think he only played from his mind as well, if I remember right.
Yeah, I mean he probably. I mean, he's a talent, for sure. I remember we once played in Portland, Oregon, where he comes from. He played in a band called Wild Dogs. They were supporting us, and we did a 5-hour sound check like normally, and he stood there and waited, and he was all nervous, and as soon as we were done, he came up with the drums. He was all hyper, and I thought to myself, this guy has ADHD written all over him, unbelievably hyper. And the singer, Matt, whatever, he was also, they were really offensive. But I remember when they played, I thought, fuck, that guy can play, and it was Dean. I didn't realize who it was then, but later with.
I bought that Wild Dogs. It's a red album with some, I don't know, Lion or whatever it is. And I didn't like the music at all, but I just bought it for his playing because I just needed to have it.
But he doesn't play so much on it. It's more straightforward. But I think he told me, or somebody told me, that after a time he went down and rehearsed a lot. But he's intense. He's very intense as a person.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he has ADHD. I mean, don't we all?
I think he even mentioned sometime in an interview or something that his parents gave him the drums just so he could get off all his energy. So that's how he started to play.
Yeah, it's funny though. He babbled and his way out of some gigs. I mean, he was with Ozzy, and I don't know what happened there, but they couldn't stand him, because I heard from other people he was too much, like, I don't know what he did, but he can't help it,
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I think now he's with Journey, of course, and really good drummer. One of the few, monsters.
Yeah, I would say he's the top 5.
Then you hear these new guys.
Yeah.
You hear all these new guys sometimes in YouTube and stuff. They're unbelievable. I mean, you see them, think, oh, another fucking monster. But then you see them play live, and it sort of falls sometimes. I mean, you've probably seen that too. I don't know what that is. When they feel insecure out of their element, something happens.
It's the same with all the. I rarely watch them at all. But if you just look at, for example, this Idol or whatever, the first song they play, you think like, oh my God, what a challenge, and the next one and everything, and then the next show they do and they have to rehearse in something completely new, and it falls completely. I think a lot of people, they played 1 or 2 songs for the whole life maybe, and they do it really well, but from there and on to be a full-time musician, I mean, it's a long way, I guess.
But being a musician, it's like, I mean, it's not about playing fast and being Dean Castronovo. I mean, it's probably like being cool and being able to hang out backstage, being calm when shit hits the fan. I mean, being able to handle these situations, being able to wake up after sleeping 40 minutes and somewhat play okay and handle the pressure, I think has a lot to do with it too. And play straight, and I don't know. There's a lot to it, but also different things that people think.
I just came up with a last question now to sum up with, because we talked a lot about music, but still music is people and some kind of interaction between different minds and different, of all the musicians you met, and I'm not talking about on stage, I'm talking about the tour bus or on an airplane or whatever. Who did you meet that impressed you most as a person?
As a person, or not as a musician, as a person?
No, as a person.
I remember meeting Michael Brecker, the saxophone player, in the, I think it was Zurich airport, and we were supposed to eat, and we stood there with our plates and had nowhere to sit. And he was almost done. He was not really done, and he stood up and offered his seat to me, and I thought that was really weird. I mean, I didn't realize who he was, even though he's an idol and somebody I listened a lot to.
Did he know that you knew?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think anybody knew who anybody was. He was just a very nice guy offering the seat, and then I realized I saw on his, I saw saxophone case, whatever, and I saw tags, like touring bands have tags. And then I realized that Mike Stern was sitting there. And then I realized, wait a second, who are these guys? And then I realized it was Michael Brecker. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, we never really we talked for 2 minutes or so. But have you ever heard him? If you haven't, you should listen to his.
Yeah, back in the days. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's dead now, of course, but unbelievable guy. But that's maybe it's hard to judge somebody just from one thing like that. Maybe he was an asshole, but I don't know. I don't think so. Otherwise than that, impressed. Most people are I met are nice, and so and normal kind of. Most guys are normal. I remember another guy. It didn't maybe impress me, but kind of surprised me. Simon Wright from AC/DC, later with Dio and stuff. When we were in Los Angeles, when we needed couches to be moved or help carrying boring shit, we called him and he came. Okay, I can carry, no problem. You know, and I thought to myself, maybe can you take this couch too? And I thought after a while, you know, he was just like a friend or like a guy, but still, it was the AC/DC drummer.
Yeah,
You know? But that's how most guys are. That's probably how you have to be. I mean. Maybe some people think you have to be like an asshole and be like, I know my worth, man. I know I'm not gonna take shit. But you have to be just cool, I think.
Yeah.
And most people are. But then some people can be. I mean, you meet probably more musicians than I do. You know how some.
Not as a drummer, but as a producer, I met a lot of them.
That's probably, you probably get to know them more personally and more interestingly in your.
It's funny that you mentioned, because my goal as a teenager was to be as a good drummer as possible, and you know, but I really don't regret all the hours I had talking with different. It's really it's really helped me to develop as a human being, I think, in a way exactly. I never would have without it.
But when you in bands, you probably see all the personalities, and if you have to get them to record well, you know how you have to deal with this guy, you know how you have to deal with him. You know, some producers, it's funny how they try to insult you, especially if they think you have recorded a lot of records. I don't know why they do that. That's annoying, I think. It happens sometimes. It's like, it doesn't work for me, kind of. I just get annoyed and start protest playing, sort of like playing bad on purpose just to fuck with them, sort of. It's but I remember from your neighborhood, Jens Bogren. He was pretty easy to deal with, I think. Do you have anything to do with him, or
he recorded 7 albums when I was playing drums.
Okay, yeah.
And I still do some work with him, you know, choirs for, you know, like Creator or whatever, you know, like things like this. But I think that was recording when you borrowed my green drum kit, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, huh?
In Örebro.
Yeah.
We recorded just some covers, of course, but there was one song I thought, this is a cool song from Riot. And I asked him, you know how it is with producers. You always think, oh, what are they gonna complain about? What are they gonna do? You know, and I played a little bit, and I asked him, how do you want it? And he just play whatever you want. You know, okay. So that came out way better than it usually does, I think. So that song, Flight of the something, or whatever it's called.
Flight of the Warrior, I think it's called. But if Jens told you that play whatever you want, that means that it was good, because that guy can be picky, that you probably want to kill him sometimes. I have been, you know, he's really, really cool. But he's extremely professional. So I don't mean this in any way in a bad, but I know so many people that, you know, at the end of the day they want to kill him, but of course they go back to him later on because he pushes them, and you know, like.
But to me, that just surprise me. Play whatever you want, and we played the song. I don't know if we played it more than once. I don't remember. Maybe you were there, since it was your drums.
No, I wasn't there when you. I was in the studio back sometime, but not when you recorded the drums.
Okay, and I thought to myself, you know, we listened to it, and I thought, he said, "Are you happy?" So yeah, I think. Yeah, it came out really good, I said. And he said, yeah, cool. You know, and I remember telling him, maybe don't quantize and all that you guys usually do. And he said, no, of course not. Or you know, I don't know if he did a little or whatever he did. I don't know. But it sounds, I mean, that song came out good, I thought. You know,
I honestly don't think that he quantized anything if he doesn't need to. That's my experience. So if you feel that it's not quantized, I don't think it is.
I don't know. It's hard to say, but it sounds good. He kept, he didn't fuck around, and I liked him. I think he's one of the few producers I've dealt with that I actually liked. Strangely enough. The other producers, they can be like, I don't know, nitpicking about things. Now you play the right cymbal, can you please play the left cymbal? They stop you and stuff. And yeah, okay, sure, but I don't know. We had a guy called Charlie Bauerfeind. He it's a German guy we had a lot with Hammerfall. He was like a little bit. He made lists like this, who's the worst drummer he's worked with, and it was me and Mike Terona. And I thought, is it serious now? Is it joking, or is this a German joke? But it's sort of I didn't really. Is it right? Maybe I'm the worst one. You start thinking, what does it mean? He was totally serious about it. I think it was his way of joking. He had told the other guys later that he liked about me was that he could change any idea, and I did it right away. When he played with Blind Guardian, they had to have a different drum kit in a different part of the studio. So the guy, if you told the guy, play the left cymbal instead, and something different, he would have to go there and sit for like a day and rehearse the part, and then come in and record it. He said it took 6 months to record the drums for Blind Guardian.
Oh.
And with Hammerfall, it maybe took 2.5 days, or 2 days. So he thought that was good. He thought that what he didn't like was spontaneity that I had, and didn't go by the book. If we have to invade Poland, we can't. How they have a plan.
But was this during the Crimson Thunder record, the first one?
All records.
Or the second one you played?
That was everyone with him. I have nothing against him. He's very talented. He's very work ethics are unbelievable. But there's not so much Jens in him. But maybe Jens is like that with. Maybe I think Charlie had pressure on him that he should be very good German power metal too. So maybe he didn't want that. The Rising Force. China, they didn't want that.
You mean that it could be like record label pressure or whatever?
No, I think
or demands, or
maybe just the way he is. Maybe he likes it that way. I remember we were playing Crimson Thunder, the song Crimson Thunder, and Oscar hadn't made it ready, so he presented it in the studio. Can you play this? They had a cassette they or something they put onto the tape somehow. I don't know how we did it. Really. It's a long time ago. But it was with click tracks. But I had a phobia. I thought I would die if I ate meat, like with BSE, this Kreuzfeld. Just some weird idea. So we ate a pizza. I thought there was ham on it, but it was like meat. I thought, oh my God, I poisoned myself. I'm gonna die here. So I was on the couch, oh, can you please play the song? It's an expensive studio. Please play the song. I can't. I just felt like I couldn't. Psychological weirdness, and they got really annoyed with me. What the fuck's wrong with you now? What's your problem? And Charlie was like, "Come on, man! What is this easy fucking song? What the fuck is song?" So I said, "I know, Charlie. You're a drummer. You went to Berkeley for 15 years, or whatever, and you can play really well drums. You can play them great. Please, you play the song, and you heard it as many times as I have. So it would be the same thing. And you get credited. Charlie Bauerfeind plays drums on these songs. It was fine. I thought I was going to die anyway, so I didn't care." So,
what was it? Some kind of panic attack, or?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
okay.
Mild. It wasn't like I was like having heart rates.
No, but
I just felt hopeless. I fucked up, kind of, because I've been avoiding beef for a year, and then suddenly I ate it like an asshole. I felt all those Creutzfeldt Jacobs disease things crawling around everywhere. So. And then Charlie went in there. Okay, he took his sticks. He went to play, and I was on the couch. I just heard it, and he came in all happy, listened to what he had recorded, And you couldn't even hear it. It didn't even go through. It was so low levels, you couldn't hear the drums even. And it was untight as hell, and it was terrible. And he said, that's embarrassing. I realize now how hard it is. Like, oh, okay, this is how hard it was. Okay, I see now. You know, it was like a revelation for him. After that, he was much nicer. But after that, I felt I sort of woke up and I played it, and it turned out to be one of the better songs, I think.
It's really good. Do you think he was when he tell this story? Do you think he was incredibly smart, that he did this on purpose?
Oh yeah. It could be. It didn't look that way. If it was that smart, then he was very, very good. Smart.
Did he record this, by the way, in Tenerife?
This recorded in Visselord in Holland.
Ah, that's also legendary. Oh, you played there. Wow.
Yeah, they played there because Renegade came out sounding kind of weird because of the mix. So they wanted to make sure to have a good sound and everything. It wasn't any problem with the studio, with Michael Wagner, who did Renegade. It was just when they mixed it, I think something, I don't know what happened. They mixed very loud vocals, I think. And so they wanted to make the record good. And Charlie and I, we like, I rarely argue with people, but I asked him in the mail, like before I went down, should go down there, what should I bring heads and stuff? What do you want? You know, like, should I bring this and that? What do you mean? It was kind of strange. I said, yeah, should I bring pinstripes or, and the answer came, no, we're doing this professionally. No fucking pinstripes. I thought, what the fuck? You know, that was a weird tone, you know, and that grew on me kind of, if I would be secure. And I heard horror stories from him, from Mike Torana too, that he's very mean and stuff, which are not true, but he doesn't let small mistakes pass, for sure. He doesn't. But so I was kind of worried. I thought, oh man, I'm going to get a hard time as hell down there, you know. So first I refused to go there, and you know, I wanted to have Fredman back. I said, let's have Fredman, let's fuck this guy, you know. But no, we're going to have him. So we went down there, and I thought to myself, he sat in the studio, big guy, looked scary as hell, looked like a mafioso guy. He looked at me with dark eyes, and I thought, oh man, I kind of got scared of him somehow. And so I thought, I can't be looking like weak now. He's going to eat me up. That's what he did with Mike Torana. So there was a box of non-pinstripe heads. I think they were, I don't know what the fuck they were. Some other heads he had on the studio. And I went in there and I kicked the box. It was a big box. So heads flew all over the whole studio. And then I walked out. And he got scared. Who is this fucking psycho coming in here now? Oh, you know. But I thought, this has to be done. Otherwise, this session is going to be horrible. And then Oscar Droniak went out there to we walked around in the block, and he come in here and, what the fuck's wrong with you? You're destroying the whole session, and fuck him. I was like, got riled up by the experience, kind of. And then I went in and said, sorry, I just, I thought the box was in my way, you know. I tried to come up with some bullshit. And yeah, let's record. These heads are good. I turned completely being all nice. So he thought a complete psychopath. and which is maybe slightly true. I don't know. I felt very not in the mood of you know, recording with him. But he went really smoothly, and he was very nice. And you know.
It sounds like some kind of art of war psychology thing or something.
Kind of weird how things like that go. But I remember Oscar was, when I went in there, it was nice. He said, oh, I'm so happy. It's like when you mend between two parents that are supposed to get divorced, you know, it's that feeling when they're talking to each other again. He told me, you know, like, and after, you know, when you have things like that, I think he started it. Maybe he was languaging, no fucking pinstripes. We're doing this professionally, or whatever he said. I thought, you know.
But you did the whole album then in 2.5 days. Then everything must went on smoothly, I guess.
Yeah, it was easy songs. I just did what they told me, you know. So, and I played like I thought they would like it, like heavy metal. But he, I remember the songs I thought were going to be like slightly popular. I sort of tried to put in a little bit more swing in them than maybe but they didn't notice, kind of just like a little, Hearts on Fire, little stressing that slightly more than maybe a young guy would.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but maybe it would be the same anyways. Maybe we're better without that.
But did you improvise the songs, or did you plan them like completely?
I can't do that. There's something wrong with my brain. It seems I really try to plan things. It's same thing with speeches and stuff. It doesn't work. This works because you just speak, but same with music. For me, I can't even say this song has 2 verses, 1 chorus, and it seems like the music part of the brain and the intelligence side and the speech center, whatever, the speech center, music center, and
like left-right brain, maybe.
Yeah, sort of. They don't connect somehow. So I can't. If I try to plan things, I fuck them up. If I don't really rehearse stuff. So every time I play, it's more or less just spontaneous. But then again, with Hammerfall, for example, I mean, I try not to have too much Tourette's things in it. Just try to like stay, how you just. Otherwise, they're not happy, and it's better to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
Oscar once told me, you should play a fill that you like people like me. He said, like fans can understand. He said, like something I can stand. The Oscar can stand in the bar, and he very smart. Oscar is a smart guy.
Yeah, somebody said sometime, like, just what should I play? Yeah, play the song, and there is some truth in this.
Yeah, very much. But it's also typical when you're young and have inferiority complex problems. You try to shine and put your cool fills in there, and but the song shouldn't. You should play the song if it fits the song. That would be cool, but you shouldn't. It takes years to realize this, though.
Yeah.
Especially live, So I can understand the criticism I got when I was young, overplaying.
But it's interesting that you say that you play better now than ever, and because a lot of talented musicians, they kind of decline or something over the years. I have there's so many of my idols that was like fantastic musicians, but when you listen to them today, it's like you hear that it's not the same. They didn't put in the same kind of amount of passion to it anymore.
That can happen. It depends who you play with and everything, but technically it's better than ever for me, and speed and everything like that. But also, I mean, maybe it looks worse because now I doing all these stick things seem less important somehow. I mean, it also affects the drumming slightly. So I maybe looks worse or whatever. I mean, looks less energetic, even though it's actually better. I mean, I know this.
But how do you do it live? Because I've seen you since I've been a lot around you over the years, and I've seen you played without click track, but then you played with click track for a while as well, right?
With click tracks, with Hammerfall up till Stefan left,
okay.
We didn't have click tracks, but we started them after that when Pontus Norgren came in. He's a technical nerd, kind of likes mixing boards and click tracks and stuff like that. So so nowadays everything's with click with them. I thought it took away a little. I didn't. I think it didn't. It added some stuff, but it also. I think it would be better without it. I think so, especially with them. speeds are gone down with the click tracks, of course, because live you can speed up and you can count in faster, which I usually like.
Mm-hmm.
Some tempos are just hard to play. There's something with the springs and the way the legs work and everything. So sometimes it's nice just to take it up a little bit. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, I used a lot of click tracks. And to me, it's easier to play with click track actually in one way because as you said, I don't speed up the fast songs too much or whatever. So I know that I have powers enough to play the songs. So it's kind of safe in one way. Probably in one sense, I'm gonna play better if I play the right tempo of the song. But from an audience point of view or listen, I'm not sure that it's the best way.
No, I mean, I think your point is extremely valid. I mean, it's safe, and you don't mess up at all, and you hear the choirs when they come and stuff.
It's like music with a safety net under or something. It takes away some of the like thrill of it.
Yeah, for sure. But nowadays they have these keyboards on their always, and sometimes lights are controlled by the synth code, and so I guess we're stuck with them.
Yeah. Okay, Anders. Do you have any last word? Something that you want to like sum up everything with?
I don't know. I think
for example, do you have any advice for musicians since you have been around for so long and have so much experience?
I think play different styles, meet a lot of people, be cool. With cool to me, I mean with that I mean don't be an asshole. These sayings that you hear, the people you meet on the way up, you meet on the way down, you know, as well. There's another one, you know. It's typical.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, all the normal stuff. It sounds great out in the front, you know. The check is in the mail. All this bullshit people say. No, but I don't know. Yeah, I think the kids today they know a lot, but they should probably try to go away from clicks and try that. They don't even dare. People, these new guys, drummers, they play the same part all over the whole time. They never play fills anymore. I mean, most of them. There's of course good ones, but that's something I think is a little bit sad. Since I'm a drummer myself, you know, when you come to a concert hall now or a club, you see the lights. They're focused. I mean, meaning aimed away from the drummer. The drummer is always in the back without lights. Part of the backdrop, sort of just sitting there with headphones and playing correctly, you know. But the lights are not even on the drummer anymore. Check it out when you're out in clubs.
Interesting, yeah.
I come to clubs sometimes when we played with Hulkov, for example, or Tungsten, and I look at the lights and I think it's funny. Here's the drum riser, and all the lights are like not where the drums are. Oh, okay. So I usually, in the middle of this first song or something, just to embarrass people, stand up, you know, playing with one hand and start like bending them down toward the drums, you know, like this, and people like, what's he doing, you know? So, you know.
Does it have to do with the idol thing that everything is so focused on the singer? You think that the whole band?
I have no idea. I think first of all, the guys don't say anything. Like, try this on Mickey D, for example. He's one of the more outspoken guys. I mean, he fires people. I mean, if they don't have complete lights on him in soundcheck, then he freaks out. I mean, it should be supposed to be yellow lights on him and white lights. You know, he has it all figured out. He wouldn't take it, that shit. You know, like people like I don't say anything, but I still feel like Mickey D. And I go and bend them and refocus them during the show. I did that. We had sound light people with Hammerfall that forgot about me and put only smoke machine on me. And I said, I mean, it's annoying. in a way, but I don't care so much if people don't see me. But you can might as well have a recording then. What do you mean? People can see you. And the band, of course, didn't back me up because they thought it was funny that I started getting annoyed. You know, how Swedish Yngwie, but so I switched the lights. I mean, I turned them to me. I fucked with the DMX code, and the smoke machines, I put them the wrong way, and they came and put them back on me, and I snipped the cord off. I put the DMX code wrong. I did all sorts of things, poured the fluid out, you know, so it was empty. And they taped so it couldn't go into the DMX code, and couldn't snip the cord off. It was like a war balance, what do you call it? A balance of weapons.
Guerrilla warfare or something.
Yeah, I was a guerrilla. They were like the superpowers, and they were like, I remember. So I said to Oscar Droniak, you know, okay, I guess you guys think it's kind of funny that I'm upset here, but I know, you know, if there's no lights on me or smoke, like crazy much smoke, I'm gonna play drum solos through the whole song. You're like, you don't dare. But then, of course, I remember Oscar, he looked at me like he could kill me, of course, and Joachim too. I mean, they probably was like I don't know what they thought about me. They never fired me, which is very surprising, you know. But I saw Oscar ran out to a roadie and say something, turn the smoke off for fuck's sake, and put lights on the Anders, you know. And I saw him trying, then I stopped playing, and then lights came on and smoke turned off, you know. But he was like, we can't have it like this. What is this shit? So they had meetings and stuff, and it's funny it has to come to that, though.
Yeah.
Another thing, you know, I thought was surprising. We had a sound check for 2 days in a production venue.
Can I just mention before you start with this one?
Sure.
Can I just mention when you say this? You shouldn't excuse yourself, because I think that means that the music means something to you, you know, because it's not about you, it's about the whole, you know, the whole thing of the experience of a band, you know, like.
It's
because it's not like some self-focused, ego thing.
Slightly, maybe a little bit of everything, but it's also, there's many things. I remember when I really got annoyed was when it was so dark, I hit my hand, you know, I thought, that doesn't happen so often, you know, it can happen, but really hard, like on the thumb. Oh, I thought you know, so then I thought, no, fucking now it's war, you know. So I didn't say anything to anybody, and I did all this bullshit. But I remember this production thing, with sound was also annoying to me sometimes. We did sound check and everything was fine, and then they played it in the PA, and everybody stood, great, sounds great. And I thought it sounded like crap, you know, like it was, vocals were really warm, guitars were kind of this and that, drums were only snare and hi-hat and ride cymbal, so no toms. And you know, most people, like, they're not like you and I, they don't hear that. It's just, you know. And they told me, who cares about toms? Why are you always such a problem, you know? Why do you always complain? And I asked Pontus Nogren, Pontus, you're a mixing guy, please, you know, say something. They listen to you. You're like what they listen to, because you're a guru, you're a sound guru. He was like, just, he didn't care, you know, like. So then we played a gig, and the next gig again, they usually play in the PA the gig from before, because they record everything. And I sat I think I was in the toilet or something. I sat listening to it. I thought, oh, no toms, fuck it. So that I quit playing toms. I think there's no point. I don't gonna play them. No, I'm just gonna play toms, you know. So we played the 3 or 4 gigs. I didn't touch the toms once. Nobody noticed. It's funny. You know, snare, and no cymbals either. They were not in the mix either. So I played hi-hat, ride, snare, and bass drum. 3 gigs, you know, can you imagine? I didn't say anything. Then the opening band, I think, was Amaranth or whatever they called. They started noticing. Maybe they're more musician types or something. They started noticing. So they started coming to our gigs and stand side of stage. They're like, "Oh, the fuck are you doing? You know, this is crazy. You know, why?" And I said, "They don't want toms. Why should I play the toms if it's you can't hear them? This wasn't it wasn't only to fuck around. It was also to
the beat stops if you don't hear it.
Yeah, exactly. So it was that too. So I thought it was pointless to say something because I tried to say I demand the toms, but they thought they are there. Why are you complaining? They aren't there. Yes, they are, and nobody agreed with me. What can you do? You know, I was right, of course. Not if you ask other guys. They don't remember this. You know, it's so funny. I always remember all the bad things, but after a while, it got word to them. Why do you only play the snare drum? Because it's was then I explained. That sort of thing it was going on all the time. It's kind of weird, but in the end, I thought it's too much of this stuff like that. It's kind of weird. But now I think Hammerfall has a non-psychotic drummer. They have a typical nice guy, David. He's like he would never do things like this. Most guys probably wouldn't, you know. And then again, Mickey D, he would say right away, if they fucking know toms, I'm gonna fucking, you know, rip somebody's head off. That's what he would say, and that's maybe better to be. But you know, you can't really help how you are. It's I thought it was pointless somehow because they didn't understand. But when
yeah, but then again, maybe this is why you will be in the history books of hard rock music. In one way, it could actually be a reason for that. Because everybody know your name, for example, and there are thousands of drummers that maybe can play faster or whatever, but there is some kind of, you know, like input of the music scene that you need to be a special kind of person, I think, to have your own like trademark or whatever.
It's funny. I thought about this a lot. I mean, I talked to my brother Jens about it. Why can't we be just more like Yngwie Malmsteen and just go rip somebody's head off when we are unhappy with things? It's like, yeah, but we aren't Yngwie Malmsteen. You know, you can't change who you are.
No, that's true. No.
You can try. It's funny when I go try, friendly and politely say, please, more toms. I mean, they are not loud enough. And somebody says, yes, they are loud enough. Then I sort of lock down, and I think that I sort of go into some destruction mode. Okay, fuck you then. Then we, you know, I don't know why that is. If I would be a decent, normal person, I would probably go and say, no, but please, you know, they aren't. Can you know? But I realize it's no point, especially not when the rest of the band goes, "Why do you always have to complain? Well, it's fine. Why do you care? Who cares?" You
know. But isn't this why there is, you know, like sessions of musicians or a special constellation of musicians that make classical albums?
I think so. I
think you've actually put exactly the right spot or the focus on why some constellations of band will be legendary, you know, and make great albums.
I think you need.
If you only have one, if you only have one, I mean, if you only have one genius among some kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say I mean, now in general, I don't talk about music or bands, but if you have one really smart person around a lot of stupid people, and the genius will be the guy that everybody complains about.
That's true. But I noticed.
Put five of those together, and then something happened, you know.
Especially if those five are have aggressive. They are aggressive people. I don't mean they go walk around beating people up, but you can be aggressive without being angry, kind of. You know, I mean, have the output. And for example, Yngwie's band with Marcel, Jens, and I, and Jeff Soto and Yngwie, everybody was like that. Jeff was kind of American and young, but still he had output and aggressiveness without being angry. I mean, Yngwie and Marcel, they were angry too, and Jens and I sort of, but we, you know, there was a lot of friction, I mean, between Yngwie and Marcel, but man, they played good. I mean,
Yeah.
And I mean, with Hammerfall, I noticed the first lineup when I was there, people were more aggressive than the later lineups. I think they have a much nicer time now. Probably it's probably calm and silent in the backstage room. Nobody does tricks or weird things and play strange fills or I remember Stefan, for example. I mean, Pontus Nordgren is a tremendous guitar player. But Stefan, I mean, is less technical and less skilled and all sorts. But Pontus would never take when he's angry and just go play the most worst note he can on the guitar and go whole solo because he's angry. Like, Pontus would never do that. It's not in his personality. Or just go on the strings, throw the guitar. You know, like I love that shit because there's sparks in the music. It's sort of
but music is feelings. If
exactly.
He actually expresses his feelings through music, even if it's not a fast scale he play that.
Well, exactly. No, but Stefan, I don't know. Pontus is a more Van Halen type. Stefan is more like somebody who could play with Iron Maiden kind of. So Pontus is, but Pontus is more mild and nice guy kind of. I mean, Stefan is a nice guy too, of course. I mean, I didn't mean he's not a nice guy, but he has aggressive issues, and more that he can.
He has a really funny sense of humor. We toured on Joachim's solo album, so we shared bus. So then I got to know him pretty well. It's really, really cool.
And Magnus, I mean, he's you know how Magnus is. He's like a unicum, or call it unicum. How do you say that in English? I don't know. It's very unique. The new bass player Fredrik is, of course, much, you know, more plays the song and more tight and more in the background and more solid maybe and you know, looks. I mean, they look both rock stars, but Fredrik would step back if Joachim and Oscar come and be in the background there. Just the way he is. He's mild, you know. Magnus would go in front and you know, like create aggressive vibes from Joachim, you know, and but the music I think benefited from
music need tension.
It sounds maybe strange, but it does. Music need tension, and I mean, when we played live, it could sound horrible sometimes with Hammerfall, with Stefan and Magnus, but still, I think the crowd picked up on the vibe. The speeds were high, and you know, we were like, I mean, sometimes sounded awful, but still we had aggression and power. When we started with the click tracks, it sounded great, wonderful, but something different, you know, like it sounded more like a record. I don't know which is better. Maybe the record. You know, I don't know.
Hard
to say.
I really think that if there is when musicians has its own timing and it's skilled musicians with, I would say like this: if the musicians has their own personality, then a click track will destroy that vibe. If the band is not that super, maybe a click track can help to get them sound more solid. I don't know.
I know now with Tungsten we play with click tracks. It still sounds very good, but the rhythm section, I mean, it's like me and two of my sons, so they have exactly the same feeling. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't destroy with a click. I think first time ever I felt that way. Usually I feel it's like pulling and stretching everywhere, but now it's like.
When you record drums with it, do you sometimes program the chorus a couple of BPM higher than the verse or something like this?
No, have no patience for that. I just have just so the grid would be in case they have to move something, or you know how this. No programming, and no special clicks either. No like programming the part or anything like that. it's just like beep, 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 or tit, 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 because if it's tit, 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 then of course it's going to be on the beat. Tit, tat, then you don't hear it unless you play off. But tit, 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 you know, you understand.
Yeah. To get what do you call it, subdivisions, I think it's
yeah. You hear it all the time. Another is when I'm experienced and older, it's on very soft in the background. But the first couple of times it had to be really loud, like it controlled your eardrum, sort of the brain. But now it's just like a second nature.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Do your ears? Do you have any damaging from your career?
Not from playing drums. I had, when I was a kid, a lot of ear infections, and then the treble hearing went down from that, and also tinnitus coming from this, but not from playing drums, because I always had ear protection. They told me early in school, you have a bad hearing, you should never shoot or drive mopeds, they told me. And then of course playing drums, you know, I remember now, I shot a rifle, one of those you know, class A älgstudsare, moose bouncers. No, but not, I didn't hunt. We shot at the shooting range, and I had these headphones on for shooting, and it was fine. Very loud it is. But I took them down to the drum room and tried the shooting protection there, and I couldn't have it. It was too loud with drums. So drums are actually louder than shooting a rifle. Unbelievable. I didn't think so.
Yeah, it's really loud.
Drums then again, drums are made to sound loud. You know, a rifle is just a byproduct of throwing out the projectile as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But actually, a rifle, the worst part of the sound comes from when the projectile hits the sound barrier. That's like where the worst. That's when it makes the worst sound. If you can get it to go underneath the speed of sound, or having a muffler, it sounds way less. But most hunting rifles go like a kilometer a second around. I mean, a little less, 800 meters a second. That's unbelievably fast. Sound goes 340 meters a second.
Do you have any goals left that you in your music career, like you wanna? Do you have something that's still that I before I end my career, I want to do that venue there or whatever, something like that?
Not really. I don't know. It might be cool to get Tungsten to work, so my kids can make a living from it. That's not a goal for me, but still, you know, when you have kids, that might be good. But for me personally, I don't know, not a goal. I mean, something that, you know, we talked about earlier, would be cool if Yngwie Malmsteen would get to his senses, and we would record a real blues album, not like what he did the previous album when he had a drum machine and he sang and bullshit like that. I'm not complaining about his blues album, but it was neoclassical blues kind of. But a real one, like when he played soft, because he really can play really well, you know, when he doesn't have to shred all the time. Most people don't realize, so that would be a cool thing to do. But it's not a goal or anything, but it would be just cool. Other than that, I don't know. No. Play Nobelmiddagen with Jens, maybe on upright bass and piano. That might be nice.
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but you know that you know this famous jazz album that you talked about before with the piano and upright bass. I used to play brushes to this at university when I was practicing jazz, because that was like a play along album because there was no drums. It's really cool.
It's funny, when they did that album, it was like an idea just to not have drums. They didn't know it was going to turn out good or anything. I think they got complaints this is not jazz. What the fuck is this shit? You know, like it's typical, right? And and it was just an experiment. They didn't spend that much time on it. It was just like, yeah. But after a while, it started taking off. People wanted that, and in the end, they didn't. They hated this album because they wanted to play their new songs, their weird jazz songs, you know. And people were like, "Can you please play these songs?" You know, all the time. So they.
It's amazing how much music you can do with only 2 members.
Yeah.
I think that's I mean, if you should do an album with, I mean, not even a guitarist and a bass player can do that much music like you can do with a piano and upright bass. Yeah. Because there's basically melody, they have chords, you have bass, and you have like rhythms to it, even if there's not a drummer. But it's kind of interesting that you can get so much music from just 2 musicians.
It's funny though, we did a couple of those gigs last week. And I realized to myself, this is by far the hardest gig I ever done. Not technically, and not that, and for Jens too, because we have to feed off each other. We are basically heavy metal musicians by heart, or you know, by trade or whatever. And this is really different for us. And for him to like trying to improvise for an hour and a half straight, I mean. Coming up with the little things, and I mean it's difficult as hell. Nothing is planned, and sometimes I mean for me it's much easier, of course, but still it's not my instrument, and there's no frets and stuff like that. So it's I have to listen to his phrasing and keys all the time. It's not my first.
How important is the monitors or the listening thing when you play with your brother? Because I can imagine just to intonate on a bass, and it's low frequencies. You know, bass is always kind of hard to hear.
Yeah, exactly. We were like playing a festival down here in Skåne, and they had a low-end rumble on stage, and. I sometimes didn't realize if it was the actual tone or, you know, that really was kind of annoying. So next gig we came to, they had the same rumble, but then we took out 90 hertz, you know. It's funny, me and Jens are both engineers, not sound engineers, but ordinary engineers. So we told the guy, put a notch filter and take down 90, try this. And it's funny, a sound guy that's been doing this for his whole life didn't know what we were talking about. But he was like, wow, man, wow. You know, it worked. But after that, then it was easy to hear. But as you say, bass is difficult to begin with, all the overtones, and you don't really know what you're doing. So the listening is important. Therefore, I have a little amp. I think it's Gallion Krüger, like a little bass amp. And with me, so I don't trust the monitors, and sometimes we play places that don't really have monitors, you know, when there's a grand piano. These gigs we did, he had an electric keyboard that sounds like a piano. But no, so it's very important with the listening, but better not to have monitors, I think. But in the same with drums, I never have monitors. I turn them completely off always. You know, because you can hear from the back line, you hear from side fields anyways. It's like people are, I need kick and snare. You know, I think, okay, toms, you don't need that. I mean, the musicians always say that, kick and snare, and nobody ever says, I want toms or hi-hat, or, you know. It's funny, I told them bands I play with, maybe you should put toms in there. No, you know. So then, of course, I played long fields just to teach them why they need toms. You know, like, and all they heard were, if you play the bass dance, what I hear is like, you know, they, of course, nobody can follow that. I mean, not me either.
Yeah, that's a big mistake by a lot of drummers. I notice this when I mix albums, for example. I know I have mixed like live albums, for example, where I couldn't use the overheads on the drums because the monitor had so much of guitars and stuff, too much of everything. So
But they always want it's like I don't know. Another thing that surprised me: drummers have that butt kicker. I tried Mickey D's once. He likes that stuff. But it's sort of like 2-3 milliseconds late. It has a delay.
Okay.
So just annoying. Then again, Motörhead a lot of the time, even though they have fast songs too. Mickey plays, I think, in that style very well. By the way, I think.
Yeah, I guess you and him are the most legendary drummers from Sweden, right?
He probably he is definitely. I mean, everybody knows Motörhead.
Yeah, but everybody knows Yngwie Malmsteen as well. I think you and him are on a different level compared to everybody else. At least in the legacy. Then you can talk about music or technical stuff or whatever. But if asked somebody to mention some Swedish drummers, I would probably say you and him.
It's funny. I wrote a book once, and the publisher wrote as a commercial, the most famous and best drummer from Sweden, meaning me. And Mickey took a little bit offense because he felt he was the most famous. So I apologized to him. He had talked to my brother. They met in Japan. He was kind of upset. And I talked to Mickey. I said, I totally agree with you. You are the most famous one for sure. I mean, it was the publisher who wrote that without me saying, okay, how it is.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, I understand. Then I met him again. He was going on about it again, really drunk. and I said, what is it? I mean, we talked about this. What is it? And he pushed me away. Like, what the fuck? I mean, he was upset about it. So, but I said, again, I apologize on behalf of my publisher. You are the most famous. But do you want to have a drum battle? I told him. And it looked at him really like, and then it was like, well, it was he didn't seem to like that idea. So I don't know, most famous. No, he is for sure, probably. I mean, Scorpions and everything. I mean, I don't care. I'm glad I'm not. I mean, he would be recognized everywhere too, probably. I mean, he looks the part, and I look like an ordinary Swedish asshole. No, but Mickey is, we've known each other for a long time. I mean,
you know him as well in the States, right? When he was not that famous, right?
Yeah, I did. And I knew him from Sweden, kind of, even.
Already, okay, cool.
Slightly. I mean, he was with Merciful Fate and all those guys in Denmark. I mean, and Geisha had a band with Magnus Rosén, and he, I met him in the States. He was before Motörhead, and but he's an alpha male for sure. He doesn't. He's just personality, just the way he is, just how he's wired. He can't take shit from anybody. It's just. But it's good because in the music you can tell it's aggressive, and I like it. I as a person I like him too. But I think he shouldn't worry about who's the most famous. So of course it's him. And Thomas Hake. I mean.
Yeah. Maybe he's number 3 then. Maybe.
Right, Thomas Hake is. I don't know how famous he is, but that's a good reputation. I think he has a good vibe too when he plays. He's very good, I think.
Fantastic.
But it would be interesting to hear him in a power metal band or so. I think you get stuck in when you play with the same sort of style all the time. Or Ove Thörnqvist, how he would play there. It would go, But man, what a terrible gig Thomas has. Can you imagine playing Bleed? I mean, Per Nilsson told me, the guitar player that was filling in for Fredrik Tordendal. He said he thought he had a hard time with Bleed. I mean, physically, he thought it was like, lactose acids. I said to him, so be it, but poor Thomas.
Yeah.
You know? Fucking hell, you know, can you imagine? I can play Bleed for like 40 seconds, then it starts hurting, you know. It's but he plays it a little bit different. He plays it like a sort of a vibe thing, it's bouncing a little bit.
Yeah.
When I play it, I play all the tones, like, and then of course the chins or whatever they're called, calves.
Yeah. It's different culture almost. How to
Yeah,
play the drums.
but he has a good groove, I think.
Yeah.
Apart from one of other ones like him, he has a good.
Yeah, but on the other hand, he will be the one that's going to be remembered.
Yeah, he will be.
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah.
And Fredrik Tordendahl, he's like the crazy mastermind behind everything. It seems to me. I don't know if you ever met these guys, but have you?
No, actually, I listened to them too, but it was little out of my music taste, sort of. I'm more into, you know, like you talked about Michael Breck. I was even into Chicory and that stuff earlier on, and but I think, you know, like some After Priest or whatever, you know, like I'm more of a like traditional stuff, Tommy Aldridge and that kind of.
I remember when we played with Jonas Hellborg in Uppsala, Meshuggah, they were non-famous, and they sat in the first row, and all those guys, and I mean, I don't know if all of them were there, but they were there because they came down from Umeå. Uppsala is closer than Stockholm, so they sat there, and one of them had talked to Jens after the gig, and they liked the way we grouped things with Jonas Hellborg. The you have a straight feeling, but you still group it different, like Meshuggah does. So maybe we inspired them. I don't know. Maybe not. But
yeah, I
remember
everything that you see inspires, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. They had made the trouble to drive maybe 700 kilometers still from Umeå down there, or maybe it was only 600 kilometers, but it's still far. They were asking Jens, because Jonas left stage and he shat himself that gig. He had eaten some bad Indian curry, so he shat himself. And Jens and I played on for a while, and then he came back, you know. And then they asked him, I remember this, one of them asked Jens, did Jonas shit himself during this gig? And I remember Jens answered right away, what do you mean this gig? He shits himself every gig, you know, you know, which is not true, of course, but it was kind of funny response, I thought. I wonder what they thought, kind of young, a little bit younger than us, and you know, what? Is it serious? You know?
Yeah, Jens played on the new Halloween album as well.
Yeah, it was Kai Hansen who forced him.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. They know each other. I mean, you know how this. Everybody knows this. Everybody. I don't really know Kai Hansen. I mean, I talked to him a few times backstage, but he's been like partying, so it was kind of hard to. I stood there totally sober, and this huge rock star came in and took over. You know.
Yeah, but it's still a small world. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he seems to be a nice guy. I mean, all those. One guy I liked. It was Daniel Zimmerman. I thought he came to work every night. He played hard and heavy and consistent. You know, like when he played with Gamma Ray.
Yeah, I remember I saw one gig in Motala, and he played. I mean, you know, all these tempos or all this fast song is like completely unreal. And he even played with a support band called Iron Savior. So he played the same kind of music for I don't know, 3 hours or something each night. It was unreal. All respect to that. I mean,
oh yeah. Now I like him as a person too. He had afterthought and kind of mild and very aggressive too. Him and the singer fought once in the tour bus, so a table broke, and I thought to myself, what the fuck did you fight about? You know, they had said some minor little thing. He stood on stage too close to the drums or something. You know, like old school, but still new school. No, Daniel, I don't know what happened to him. He couldn't take it anymore.
I don't know either, but he, I mean, I just remember I was so impressed by
yeah, me too. About the consistency.
Yeah.
he came to work, like I said, every gig. He never fucked up. He never drank like the other guys did.
Was this when he played with Freedom Call, or?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Freedom Call. But I remember he asked me about one of those fills on an Yngwie Malmsteen record, and it was like he had tried to figure it out very many times. It was, I think, on Right in the Dungeons. He came one of those Tourette's things I did, and he had like copied it and showed me, and I said, no, it's almost like that, but not really. And he said, yes, it is like that. And I said, no, I recorded it. What? You recorded this? Like, yes. What? He didn't realize. So, but I showed him. It was like I had that. It's very simple. Like snare, hi-hat, snare, hi-hat, like that. But very strange to do. It's somewhere in Right in the Dungeons. It's like that. And but I like him. The other guys were like cool too, though. I mean, but they were like different, like him. I think they're more rock stars, sort of.
That tour was also a really milestone, I think, because so many good bands on this.
But Freedom Call, I'm basically talking about Gamma Ray. But Freedom Call, they were all they were not so much rock stars. They didn't drink that much. They were like serious. Sounded really good too.
Yeah.
I saw them now in Forshaga in Sweden a couple of years ago, where we opened for them with Hulkov, and they really played well.
Yeah.
Chris Bay, the singer, but they're all very nice guys.
Yeah.
So they had stories. We always wondered, you did really strange things on tour.
Yeah. We toured them for I think 3 years ago for a week or something, and really nice, because they lend everything that we needed or whatever. Sometimes when you have of course when you are a support band, you have to play by the book. Yeah. There is a main band, but they were really super nice with everything, like helpful, and it's really nice.
Yeah, they had like a thing. I think I'd forgotten, but I had pretended to be. I took a wheelchair somewhere, stole it, and drove underneath the stage and sat with a harmonica and beeped in the harmonica, and everybody thought that it was like a feedback coming. So they pulled all the faders down, and nobody could understand where it was coming from. That's something they reminded me of. So I thought it's a cool trick, but maybe not so nice. Yeah. This was during soundcheck, though. I would never do it live to destroy somebody's. There's a difference, I think, to fuck around on soundcheck or destroying somebody's gig.
But you made a lot of people laugh over the years, I guess, with all your tricks. I just know from my experience, you have done a lot of stuff.
That's good. I don't know why that is. It's probably some ADHD with Tourette's, I think. I took one of those ADHD tests last year, and I got sky high like levels. But the person who took the test, she said she thinks over the years I've learned how to deal with it. But your childhood must have been interesting, she said. Because when you have that, I don't know if you have it. You seem pretty energetic yourself. But
don't you think that all musicians are special in some way or another? I mean, if I just from my experience as a producer, the more intelligent, not intelligent, but the more talented one person is in one area, and then they can be completely like I don't know, like caveman in something in other. I mean, it's really, the more you have talent in one thing, you lack of in some other area. That's my experience.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you go to an office and you see people there, they're probably weird too, have different problems, but you never really hear about them, and people don't take notice. But I remember when I went to school, I felt that I was different. I went to engineering school, like 4-årig teknisk, and most people there were not like me. They were very serious, no, we shouldn't joke about this. This is very important. And there's, you know, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe at offices there, most people are like that probably. So you're probably right. Musicians are different. You probably seek out to be a musician if you have problems, you know.
Or could it be that you seek out to express yourself?
Yeah, exactly. You need it somehow probably. You need
because you will go insane otherwise or something. I don't know.
Well,
But it is some form of that you need to express yourself. I think that's a very, very important thing that maybe a lot of people forgot. I don't know.
I remember in the engineering school, I stood out and expressed myself, but with the different, not musically then, there was different other things, weird things that happened. And in the military service, shit happened again, and that made me stand out as different. I mean, and it was pranks and jokes most of the time, you know, and sometimes they went like too far and stuff like that. So, but most people didn't do that. They had some sort of a limit, and they didn't even think of it. And they didn't become musicians either.
No, and they didn't become musicians because they didn't have that strong character as you. I think it's so important in music. It's so important. Character.
Yeah, I think so too. It's more fun and interesting. I think that's lacking sometimes. You hear this extreme grindcore and stuff, and the guys are like all sitting there. Excuse me, but isn't the food vegan? You know, we have to meditate before the gig and stuff. And you go in and you do the helicopter, and they don't understand anything. What the fuck is he doing? You know, like old school, the dangerous guy.
But I think it's just a way of being more alive. I think you can't express anything if you're not living.
But it's like, you know, our mutual friend Oscar Droniak, he's very special too, and he has a lot of energy. And I saw Hammerfall without me, and I realized he, even though everybody's the same height more or less, and he's the one you watch. I don't know what it is with him. You know, he's special like hell. Like, he's not the best musician in the band, but he's the mastermind behind the band, and he's like very different and very energetic and does unexpected things sometimes. He's not an improvisation type of a person, especially not musically, but he still have energy that a lot of bands lack, I think, and personality.
I remember when we were at this party at Joachim's place, I remember me and you and Oscar, we were up to like 6 o'clock in the morning just singing karaoke to, I don't know, Manowar and King Diamond, I think it was. And I remember some musicians that when I played where they thought that me and him was kind of strange to do this, like grown-up men just screaming in the microphone.
No,
but it's a passion. I mean, it's.
No, he loves that shit. He every night in the tour bus he stayed up till way past dawn. I mean, he was like up 8 o'clock, and you could hear him listening to Onkel Konkel all by himself and drinking and loud, you know. And people would, after a while, you know, the crowd. My brother turned on Onkel Konkel with Stratovoris, and we had some of the crew guys were the same, and they were like, yeah, I know this, I like this. They even like Onkel Konkel from hearing it, not actively listening, just passively listen to it from Oscar, and they even knew what it was called. This is Onkel Klabusta. That's what they, you know, that's what Konkel is in German. Klabusta, Bergchen or something. Onkel Klabusta. Jens thought that was really weird. Now, Oscar definitely an impact and you know, a reason I think why they are so big as they are. It's him more or less only. I mean, then of course Joachim. He needs Joachim. Joachim is a serious guy, the nice boys and the businessman kind of. But they both, without each other, they would never work. Yeah. Like you said in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oscar would never work by himself, and Joachim the same. I think not as successful, at least.
Yeah, there's a lot of band where there's two people that are like unreplaceable.
Yeah, they are for sure. Yeah.
Oh, I just mentioned Kiss for like
Mm.
an example, but it's a lot of them like this.
Yeah, Manowar and
Van Halen or whatever, you know.
Yeah. But Van Halen, they switched singer, and I don't know. Some people liked it, some didn't. I don't know. The other guy, the new guy, sang more on pitch and stuff, but I liked David Roth better for some reason, personally.
Yeah, he's a showman.
Yeah, yeah, and also we met him a few times. He used to hang out with us in Los Angeles, which was, I couldn't believe it. You know, when first time we met him, you know, Diamond Dave, and here I am. Who am I? You know, I was 21 or something. You know. But he was just he wasn't just like another guy though. He was very different, very American, very you know, star, very, really. But interesting.
Wow, what an episode, Anders. So nice to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise.
So many projects.
It's also nice when somebody's interested in all the crap one has done. I mean, it's a privilege to that you are interested.
Yeah, I mean, I started this channel actually for my own sake. That I want to interview people that I admire and you know, like just want to have a little more insight, and then you have a better excuse to do it like this than screaming in your ear with a beer in my hand. And
but you've never been like
all this. Sorry?
Yeah, you've never been like that. You've always been sophisticated.
No, I try my best. Anders, what a pleasure to do this, and what an honor. Your music legacy will carry on for I don't know how many years more, but I think I will continue to follow you, all the music you do. And thank you so much for making time for this interview.
Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, and good luck with everything.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, see you.
See you. Bye-bye.